Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
Barron's going to throw the Hail Mary down the near sideline for Drudge. Great recovery.
Oh, he's gone.
Broke it. 50, 40, 30, 10, 5. Touchdown, Rockies! Justin Drudge does it again!
And a good Saturday morning to you here on the Saturday Sports Line, the longest running high school sports show in Indiana. Tough day for us here, a tough week overall. You just heard the call. That was Tony the Boss Ross, a great touchdown call for the Plymouth Rockies all those years ago. I think that clip came from 2014. We're going to have a lot of those clips today. We will be honoring Tony the Boss Ross throughout this broadcast. We'll have an interview with him in the second hour for Harold Welter's Where Are They Now segment. We will air that interview we had with Tony back in April of 2023, where he won that prestigious award at the Gritties. It was the Excellence in Football Media Award. A great interview. We invite you to stick around for that. This show is going to be very jam-packed. We have a lot to get to, a lot of things going on in our area, so stay tuned, stick with us. It's definitely going to be longer than a normal 2-hour show. We will be creeping into that potential third hour. Who knows what could happen here, but we look around our area schools, and last night here on WKVI, we saw the Culver Cavaliers take care of business over the South Central Satellites, their rival. 44-15 was the final. The Satellites in their season at 2-8 on the year. The Knox Redskins come up with a big win last night at River Forest, 48-13. Remember, this is the first round of sectionals. It's win or go home at this point. Good job by the Redskins taking care of business. As I said, 48-13. The North Judson-San Blue Jays, they continue the winning ways, still undefeated. They hosted South Newton, and from what we could tell from the score updates that were coming in, the game was over at the end of the first quarter, quite frankly, 71-20. No disrespect to South Newton, but our Blue Jays are just that good. The West Central Trojans on the road against LaVille in that same sectional of Culver, South Central, and also Winamac, Culver, South Central. West Central was also in that same sectional, as well as North Judson-San Pierre. The West Central Trojans unfortunately fall to LaVille 41-6. They end their season at 6-4 on the year. The Winamac Warriors hosted Taylor last night. We didn't know much about Taylor, but Taylor took care of business 35-12. The Winamac Warriors in their season at 4-5. You heard the call last night on Max 98.3 FM with Rusty Nixon and Joe McKee. The Plymouth Rockies take care of business against Wawasee 38-13. Great call by our guys at KVB's WYMR. We look around WYMR's area teams. Like we said, the LaVille Lancers taking care of business over West Central 41-6. John Glenn unfortunately falls to Jimtown on the road 37-7. Bremen wins on the road, huge win, 61-0. The Lions are really coming on strong here late. The Culver Academy Eagles, they unfortunately fall in a tight one on the road at Lebanon, 35-32. The Triton Trojans win at home against Southwood, 49-7. And then, like I said, the Plymouth Rockies, 38-13, beating Wawasee. Also going on in our area, the Culver girls volleyball team is headed to regionals today. They are taking on Marquette Catholic. 1 p.m. Eastern is the start time of that match. We invite you to stick around for the second hour, where we will talk with our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. It's Brynn Berndt of Culver Community. Also, our Salute to the Champion segment with all of the seniors on that team. Like I said, it's going to be a jam-packed show. We're going to get all of Culver Cav Nation ready for that big-time regional matchup. It's the first time since 2011 they have been in this position, so congratulations to them and good luck this morning, or later on this afternoon, I should say. Also part of the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week interview we weren't able to get with Violeta Mendez of Oregon Davis last week due to her being on vacation for fall break. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get her, but we did get her this week. So it'll be a dual Tyler Roth, WKVI Athlete of the Week interview. So if you hear that at the top of the next hour or whenever that may be, you're thinking, well, where's Brynn or where's Violeta? Don't worry, they're both in the same cut, so just stay tuned. It's going to be that kind of day here, but we have two very, very special people to the KVB family here in the house. Of course, Chris McGowan couldn't be with us last night. He couldn't be with us this morning. He is dealing with another loss close to his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with him as well. But in his place today, we are honored to have Hall of Fame coach of Winamac. It's Tim Roth. Tim, good morning. We appreciate you being here.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We also have our very own Harold Welter, the legend himself. Good morning, Harold.
Legend?
Well, yeah.
Give me a break.
Well, I mean, 50-plus years, is that not enough for a legend status, Tim?
It would be in my book far and above legendary.
I was around long enough to broadcast games that Tim Roth played in high school.
We won't go back there.
That is an amazing stat. If you really think about it, that is pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Well, one thing we wanted to talk about was obviously Tony. One thing, Harold, I think is pretty cool is that you were with him in his first ever broadcast. Can you share with us that day?
The boss, Tony Ross, got his start in sportscasting here at WKVI. He was still in high school, and he did some games with me in high school. And you could tell right away that he had a dedication to high school sports. And he had an excitement about it that was, if I could term it, unbelievable. He really was. And then as he progressed and went into radio sportscasting on a full-time basis, I ended up learning from him. And I know you got your start with Tony a number of years ago. And this guy was the most organized, the most prepared broadcaster I've ever been around. I always faked it. but he wrote things down, and I see you always write things down, and you have statistics, and he had statistics on every player that ever got into a game, and just his love of high school sports was so apparent.
It really was, and I always say the enthusiasm, his excitement and enthusiasm for the game. When you were listening to him, you almost felt like you were there, and he brought the game to you. It was just really such excitement, and I always thought it was pretty cool. He talked to you the same way he would talk on the air. It was just you're sitting at the dining room table with Tony when he called the game. A lot of broadcasters, they kind of want to change their voice. They don't really sound the same. Those guys you see, you're like, that's that. You see him in person, you're like, that's that guy? You can't believe it because they have the golden voice. But Tony, you saw what you got. He was authentic to the core, and we're just really grieving this week. And man, it's just going to be a tough way. It's going to be a tough way forward for us. But I know both of you have been through similar situations in your own life.
Great loss. Grief is grief, Tim.
Yeah, there's no way around it. You just you have to learn to deal with it because it's never going to go away. People choose to grieve differently. Not everybody grieves the same way. In fact, I think everybody grieves differently. And some people, unfortunately, go down the wrong road in grief and get so wrapped up in it that life becomes a real negative for them. While others, fortunately for Harold and I, in our cases, we've tried to make something of a great loss turn something positive in people's lives with it and go on that way. There's not a day goes by I don't think of Tyler, and for that matter, Cheryl too, and wonder what if. But like I always say, God's plan's not my plan, and my plan doesn't always match up with God's plan. But in life, you learn lessons, and grief is just a lesson that you have to learn to deal with and try to overcome.
I wrote a book called Joy in the Morning, with morning spelled M-O-U-R-N-I-G. And in that, I talk about the 5 stages of grief. And it doesn't matter who or what you're grieving. There's 5 steps everyone's going to go through. There's the denial, there's the anger, there's the bargaining, there's the depression, and finally there's the acceptance. And in the book, I suggest that there's a 6th step of grief, but you have to choose it. And that sixth step is growth. How are you going to grow from this experience? And in the book, I talked with Tim about his loss of Tyler and the positive things that they've done in Tyler's name, not the least of which is the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week.
Right,
Tim?
Yeah. It's very humbling for us as a family to hear that every week. Now with social media, I try to reach out to the athlete and congratulate them.
I see that.
And
so does your wife.
And hope that they, I hope it means too much to them. If it means half as much to them as what it does to us, I know we're accomplishing something.
Well, this is not going to be an easy broadcast. Harold, something that I think that you would agree with is Tony definitely would not have wanted us to miss last night's game. Rusty and I had talked throughout the week. We honestly considered not doing the game. We really did. But we decided Tony would have been very mad at us if we weren't there for the kids.
You're absolutely right, because it was always about the kids with Tony. And, when we lost Cheryl the night before homecoming, her senior year of high school, and the next day, the next night, I broadcast that game, and people kind of said, how could you do that? And it was the same thing. Cheryl would have expected me to broadcast that game because her brother was playing in the ball game. All of her friends were involved with homecoming, and she would have expected it.
That had to be so hard for you.
It was not easy, but on the other hand, the support of our communities. And Tim has experienced this and continues to experience this. And you see the reaction of the boss and what he's meant to so many people.
Oh my gosh.
The reaction is amazing. Brynn named their press box after him. I mean, this is like 2 days afterwards, their board passes a resolution, and now it's the boss.
Yeah.
Tony Ross press box at Brynn High School.
I only had the pleasure of being interviewed by Tony one time. Mm-hmm. We were in the playoffs, and we were playing a team that he covered. And we sat down for he came to Winamac and sat down for an interview. And like you had mentioned earlier, he tried to make it comfortable and like we were just sitting at the kitchen table talking.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget this because it's kind of strange, but yet funny in a way, because we start the interview and he stops and he goes, pardon me, coach, but I had onions before I came. So if my breath smells, forgive me, please. And it's like, this is really a weird start to an interview, but okay.
He was just the most personable guy. It was like a guy you knew your whole life.
Yeah, he didn't know me from Adam before he walked through that locker room door. And to start the interview, to start it and then stop it, he goes, pardon me, I had onions. Forgive me if it's like, okay, here we go.
The amazing thing about Tony is he could do any sport.
He really could.
Any sport. I mean, I was very limited. I could do football and basketball and softball, baseball. Did wrestling at one point, but and volleyball. But when the North Judson-San Blue Jays were playing for a state championship in volleyball at Ball State University, and we were obviously going to broadcast the game. First thing I did was call Tony and said, Tony, you got to help me. I can't describe a state championship volleyball game. So he comes and he does the play-by-play, but the way he did it and the way he included me in the conversation, I think the listeners felt that I was doing the play-by-play. I mean, it was amazing.
He made it seem like you were still...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, he did things like ice hockey.
Yeah, I know. He did hockey for Culver Academy. And I remember, 2 years ago when I first took over, I was dragging on Sunday. He did the game on Friday, then the Saturday sports line. And I'm thinking, boy, what did I get myself into here? This is a big deal. I turn on Max 98.3 on Sunday. It's like 1 p.m, and he's doing a Culver hockey game. And I'm just dying on Sunday trying to get my rest. He just never stopped.
Yeah.
And he just kept going because he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He lived for it.
He really did. And he lived for the community. And I think this is the reaction you're getting. And by the way, if you haven't read the article by Doug Griffith,
man,
you need to read that article because it is touching, and he really describes Tony the way he really is. And so many tributes, and I see that the Plymouth high school football team have a sticker on their helmets that says "Boss."
Yeah, the boss. Isn't that so cool? And that's what I said on the air last night. There's so many things that so many people are doing in our area. We almost can't wrap our mind around what all is being done because, we're probably leaving some things out because so many people stepped up, the outreach. Just everything on social media from Twitter, even Instagram. I had on my Instagram when I posted it, a lot of schools that I don't cover saw that post and shared it. And these are kids in high school now saying, we're going to miss you, the boss. We're going to miss you, boss. And these are kids in high school now.
Yeah.
And then kids in college that have gone on to play sports that have said things, and people in the community and businesses, and also the school corporations. It's just, you can't really wrap your mind around everything that is going on right now because everybody, and I think that's probably the reason they decided to have the viewing at Plymouth High School varsity gym.
Yes.
They realized, hey, we don't have enough space for this. We need to have a bigger space, and what better place than to have it at Plymouth's gym where Tony called so many games.
Absolutely. I think that is very, very appropriate. But, when you look at a loss like this, it's a loss to the community, and it's a loss to all of the players that won't benefit from him going forward. And the challenge for folks like you in this business, Mitch, is to carry that forward.
Yeah.
It's about the kids. It's always about the kids.
It really is. And like I've said before with here at WKVI and unfortunately now at WYMR, the tradition continues, and the tradition must continue. And I think Tony would want that. I think he really would. And like Rusty said, he'd have been mad at us if we didn't do that game last night. So we went on the air and we bawled our eyes out. Rusty had such a heartfelt tribute to Tony. I tuned in. Of course, they went live about 30 minutes before we did. And I wanted to tune in because I knew Rusty was going to say something. And it just was so heartfelt. And something he said was, you don't look to replace somebody like that because you can't. And that's a good thing. There is no replacing. That is someone that is going to live in our hearts and live with KVB and the area as a whole forever. We will never forget him. We never will.
How will you go to the sixth step of growth? How are you going to grow from this experience? And I think one of the greatest tributes that I saw last night, talk about something bringing tears to your eyes, when I saw those pictures of the press booths at Plymouth and at Culver with the headset and the empty chair sitting next to you, that says it all.
Yeah.
That says it all, Mitch. Thank you for doing
well,
that.
and we need to give thanks to Doug Griffiths. He gave us the idea earlier on this week. He said, if you would, please just plug in an extra headset. And it's just, gosh, man, we lost a good one this week. So we're going to have highlights throughout this broadcast, all of Tony's, none of last night's game. We want to honor Tony tonight, and then we will have his interview in place of your Where Are They Now segment where you have some kind words to say as well. That's in the hopeful second hour. We'll see how long this show goes. So, man, it's just, I appreciate you both being here. It means a lot.
We appreciate being asked. It helps us to talk about our loss all those years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most definitely.
Well, and you're going to stick around, Tim. We'll talk to some of these coaches. This will be fun for you. You haven't been on a Saturday Sports Line in a long time.
About 8 years.
You looking forward to talking to anyone in particular?
Yeah, I'd like to grill Russ a few times. No, just kidding.
Oh,
I'll try and behave myself, Mitch.
Well, you don't. You have the green light. You have the green light. You ever heard that in basketball? You guy gets the green light. You get the green light, Coach.
Through it all, you got to remember to keep the faith.
That's for sure.
We're going to take a break and come back. We are going to talk North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jay football with head coach of the Blue Jays. It's Brett Lambert. He's in the lobby waiting. Don't go anywhere. This is the Saturday Sports Line.
Hi again, everybody. Tony Ross, along with Scott Masters, Mark Hayden, and Doug Griffiths. We get ready for a brand new season of high school football, and we kick-started with what should be an outstanding matchup as the Triton Trojans come in number 7 against the number 8 team in 1A and the LaVille Lancers.
That's raging through my frozen heart tonight. I hear your name in certain circles.
And it is game time at the Rock Pile. A line drive bullet that winds up in the end zone.
Thinking about you, and it's almost driving me wild. And there's a heart that's...
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, agriculture has been a cornerstone of our business for more than 135 years. Our personal relationships within the ag community run deep for multiple generations. If you're looking for a financial partner that knows, understands, and supports agriculture, I'd love to hear from you. I'm Isaac Blue, Ag Banker at First Farmers. Come into our Knox, North Judson, or Culver branches, or visit us online at ffbt.com when you're ready to talk about growing your operation. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Coleman goes after the first pitch and top hands that one in the right field for a base hit.
Back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. Time to transition to the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays head coach, Brett Lambert. Huge win, 71-20. We got score updates last night, Coach. From what we can tell, it was taking care of business in the first quarter. I'm sure you're going to be a lot nicer than that, but, a lot of points were scored in that first quarter. How many was it again?
Yeah, I've never been a part of something like that. So it was 49-0 at the end of the first quarter. And it just we didn't even run many plays. I mean, it was just quick scores. We had a D lineman pick off a screen and take it for a touchdown. Evan Curley did that, which was pretty awesome. When a D lineman scores a touchdown, that's pretty awesome. I don't know. I got to talk to the other coaches. I thought at some point we said something about maybe a steak dinner or something if a D lineman scores.
That's what Chris brought up.
So now you
got to do it.
Well, I don't know who's paying up. I'm not the defensive coach.
I
call the offense. That's not me, but somebody's got to do that though.
He's delegating.
Well, that's what good head coaches do.
I was going to say a good head coach will do that.
I've kind of learned that. So, but no, it was a good night for us, and again, we took care of business early. Like I said, I think in the first half we ran 16 plays and had 63 points. So again, that was just kind of insane. On a night when our three main guys, Brock and Josiah and Cole, I think altogether, we've looked down, they had 11 carries altogether for the game, and for us to score that many points, man, that's pretty cool. But we took care of business, and that's what it's all about in the playoffs. Whether you have 49 in the first quarter or you have 6 and you win 6-0, we're gonna take the victory. And yeah, it was a nice night.
Well, did South Newton? Was there anything you weren't prepared for, or what you kind of had their number from the start? You feel?
Well, this is the fourth time. So I've been the head coach 6 years. The fourth time we've seen him in the playoffs. The third year in a row, and of course that's not an easy drive between the two schools. Luckily, we've only had to make the drive once. But they did get us. They got us 2 years ago with us. They got us again with the hook and ladder. So that was a kind of a unique thing. They didn't score on it this year, but they did a couple years ago. But no, they did what we prepared for, and I felt like our kids were pretty locked in, especially early on. But it does get, when you get up by that much, it just, the game almost gets, I don't know how to even explain it.
A little messy,
boring. You kind of want to just get it over with. You don't want to get somebody hurt. There's just so many things that go through your head. I'm sure Coach Roth knows all this.
That was my question. In a game like that, when it gets out of hand so early, how did the substitution end up going? Because in a game like that, you don't want to get your starters hurt. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, period. But when games get out of hand like that, they get, as you said, sloppy. Mm-hmm. Bad things can happen, and you worry about that. So did you call the dogs off after the first quarter, or did you let them play?
We had starters in the second quarter, but we were subbing throughout the second quarter. And, of course, there wasn't a starter in the second half, which was good for the young guys.
I was going to say, which helps your program because – your young kid, you don't have to worry about quarters anymore.
Absolutely.
And in a game like that, get your young kids in and let them play and let them see why they're number 2 or number 3 on the list, because your starters were obviously bouncing off big plays. Maybe the second and third string, maybe that big play was only 4 or 5 yards.
And but
it's a wake-up call for everybody, really.
Absolutely. But at the same time, though, you're happy as heck with those 4 or 5 yards. Like, exactly. Man, that's awesome right now. I mean, they're executing the offense. They're trying to get a stop on defense, whatever the case is. But yeah, it is nice to see the younger guys get in there and just execute to the best of their ability. And maybe it's not as good as the varsity. I mean, that's why they're where they're at, and the varsity is. But yeah, it was a nice. And of course, we've been fortunate enough this year. We've had a lot of those experiences with the younger guys out there, but. If you go over and us coaches have talked about this, if you go over the past few years, we've lost in semi-state the last 3 years, but we've had 14 games of football, which means we've had, 3 or 4 more practices than most teams per year. And it's added up with these players because they just look like some of these younger kids, sophomores, are like, well, we went through 14 practices last year. Now we're hopefully on a run again this year, we hope. So it's really going to build up, and it kind of keeps the program running. And it's just a really cool thing. I mean, success breeds success, and once you get rolling, it's a great thing. And just like Pioneer is a perfect example. Yeah. They got it going about in 97, and it's like they just didn't let the foot off the pedal.
Train.
Yeah. And just the kids grow up thinking, oh yeah, we're going to win. But they also know the work that it takes to win, and that all comes together. And we're trying to get that going now, and knock on wood, we can keep it going. But again, right now it's all about the moment, and now it's on to Culver and getting ready for that next game, and that's where the kids' minds are at right now.
One thing that we've talked about before is getting these young guys varsity experience, but now not only are they getting varsity experience, they're getting postseason varsity experience. I mean, is this just, in your mind, are you building up for the future at the same time while also taking care of business in this season?
I mean, that's happening, but that's not your thought process, because your thoughts are, okay, let's win this game, let's get this game over with, and let's get ready for the next opponents. That's what we're thinking, but you're right, that's what's happening. The other stuff's happening on the outside, but no, the focus, it's a singular one for us. It's just, want to know this week, want to know next week. I mean, that's what it has to be, and that's where we've been at. And again, the offense has been clicking all year. The defense has too. Special teams has been okay.
Okay, so that's what I was about to ask. We noticed the score updates that were coming in. A lot of penalty kicks were attempted last night. So you're still trying to get that rolling because, like you said earlier a few weeks ago, there could come a time where you need to be able to kick a field goal.
True. I think we might start practicing more just throwing balls into the end zone from the 12-yard line, though. We're going to keep working.
We keep trying it.
And I've said all along, when we have big games, we're going for 2. That's just the way it is. But like last night, we know we can go kick an extra point. because we're in that position. The point doesn't really matter in the moment. So we're trying to get better at PATs, but it seems like we're not quite getting every part of it together. You got to have 11 guys perfect, and sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 10. A lot of times it's 10, but getting 11 has been a little bit of an issue this year.
You see the Culver Cavs now. You move on to round 2. You saw them earlier in the year. We were there for that game. The Cavs we saw last night, though, that's a different team than that you saw. Just from my eyes, I mean, obviously I didn't play football, but from what I saw last night, the Cavs are a completely different team than what you saw. What are you going to prepare this week for?
Well, I mean, you got to, when you see a team twice, that's I know Coach could back me up on this. That's not easy. It's just not. So. And it doesn't matter who it is and what the score was the first time. I mean, I think back. I'm not some big veteran coach, but I've coached long enough. I know in 2020 we played Culver the regular season, put up 63 on them. I think won 63-20. Saw them in the playoffs. We won 27-12, and it was a dogfight. And then the next week, that's that same season, 2020. We beat Winamac the regular season. I think it was 29-0. Had a lot of things go our way. We get to the playoffs, we lose like 14-7. So those things happen. A couple years ago, we saw Triton regular season put up 60 on them. I think it was 60-20 again, score like that. Then see them in the second round of sectionals. It's 6-6 at halftime. We end up winning 24-6. But other teams make adjustments. Sometimes your high school kids, you get a 15, 16-year-old kid, and they're like, oh, we've already beat these guys. Who's the next opponent? Who are we going to play the following week? No. That can't be the mentality. And I think our team this year, what's been awesome about them is they have been locked in every week. And they do, I want to think that they listen to the coaches and what we say and what we preach. And that's been awesome, but they got to keep that going. They can't think about, okay, we beat Culver, so okay, who could be in a sectional game? Who could be in a regional? I mean, that's what the fans start saying, and we can't have that crap.
Have that
cannot happen. So what do we need to do to get better this week and beat Culver? What's it going to take? And then we can, if we take care of that, look to the next opponent. But it's all about Culver and us. It's all about us this week, and that's really what it's all about.
And you have to control the things you can control and ignore the things you can't. And for, like you mentioned, 15 to 19-year-old teenage boys, they go to different hangouts, the coffee shop or whatever with Grandpa. They hear all the chatter. Oh, I got my room rented for the state finals. You boys keep it up. Well, in their minds, that swells, and that's something you credit the head coach and his staff to keep them grounded, to keep them on task, because over a 6 weeks period, that is hard to do.
And I think I touched on that a little bit last week. Yeah, it's just, I was even trying to lecture the parents and fans last week. I'm not sure, but yeah, let's not talk about what could happen.
Don't put the cart before the horse.
Absolutely, we got to take care of this team this week, and it's Culver, and then if we're fortunate enough to get the win, then let's keep on moving. But this time of year, I mean, you should feel fortunate if you win, because 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A last night, half the teams are done.
Yep.
They're getting ready for basketball and swimming and all that. And that's something I talk to the kids. We do have a good group of kids, but social media is a beast.
Yeah.
And I talked to them in some pretty choice words after the game last night that we need to be great winners. And make sure we're not doing stuff on social media and trying to rub it in somebody else's face. And just make sure we don't have something, if we're going to have a run, if let's say we can just keep playing in these next few weeks and through November, let's not make any decisions that can take away from our success and make people not want to cheer for us, and just maybe put ourselves in a position where we miss a game. So let's make sure we're making smart decisions. And I was pretty firm with that. And again, we didn't have anything bad that was going on, but I just heard some rumblings, and as a coach, sometimes when there's a rumbling, you need to squash it,
address. Yeah.
So we did that. But no, we're in a good spot right now. Our health for our team's, good. We don't really have any big catastrophic injuries other than the bridegroom injury from earlier in the year. He had surgery yesterday on his knee, and I think the surgery went well.
Oh, good.
He tried to go to the game last night. I know he left at halftime, but he tried to tough it out. But just a good kid there. But just, we're in a good spot. We just need to keep it going, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting at this point.
We got another Rich Grove Township boy in here, Coach.
Yeah, it just makes me want to regurgitate,
For the listeners that don't understand that, explain.
Well, Rich Grove Township, for some reason when the school districts were drawn up, Pulaski County was cut in half. Eastern Pulaski, West Central School Corporations. However,
here we go.
Rich Grove Township is annexed by North Judson. So the Lamberts, the Powers boys, the McGowan boys, and a few others that have made names for themselves in their sports program as the mighty Blue Jays should actually be Winamac Warriors. And everyone should know that. So thanks to Winamac for Lambert's success. His mother was a Star City star. I mean, what can I say? No. They're all...
Your response, Coach?
They've all proven that they're winners, and I congratulate them for that.
I'm going to be nice with what I say here. But I was closer. I was growing up 10 miles from North Judson, 11 miles from Winamac.
Oh, here we go.
For the record there. But I did have a Winamac address and a Winamac phone number. And back before cell phones, when you're a North Judson kid with a Winamac phone number, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Because if you want to call your friends or, if you've got a girlfriend or something, you want to try, it's long distance.
Yeah.
That's not going to make your parents too happy. So that was not fun growing up with that. But I'm... Sorry, Tim. I'm happy I had the blue and gold. I got no regrets, but I'm sure if I would have been in the maroon, it would have been great as well.
Well, and not to change the subject to get too somber, but Tony the Boss Ross had done several games for you in the past, and of course the most recent one that I can remember is doing last year's semi-state game, at Adams Central, and then the year before we had done, I think. Well, it was one year he went to Peru for you guys.
Well, or Park Tutor.
Or Park Tutor, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's done some games for the Blue Jays, and you've worked with Tony over the years. You have any memories you want to share with us?
It's not like, the guys over, around the Plymouth area. I don't have those memories, but, he was a true professional, did everything, above and beyond. Because I remember, I think the first time he came in was a couple years ago when we were undefeated and LaVille was. We were both 7-0. It was a big game, and he was calling it. He said, "I'm going to stop by practice, but that's all right." And I said, "Yeah, that's fine. That's awesome." And I walk in the coach's office, and he's sitting there. He was, which I was like, "Oh, okay," which was fine. That's fine. But no, he had great questions. He wanted a bunch of details, background on players, and what we're doing. He wanted to know our scheme and stuff. I'm like, well, hold on here. We don't want to get too far into it.
We're giving you the game plan, Tony.
But
you don't know till you ask.
But no, just fantastic guy. And the last time I saw him and talked to him was actually at the Stark County Fair. I was walking through the parking lot. I think it was maybe before my daughter's turkey show or something. And I saw him. I guess Tony, how good's LaVille going to be this year? That was, my thought. And we ended up talking for 5 or 10 minutes, and just a really nice guy, a guy of faith. Just a fantastic, individual. And, he's going to be missed. And I was there at the Gritties, was he a couple years ago when he got his award. I was there for that, and I talked to him there as well. So, part of my, routine in the morning is I go in, before I come here, I go in, flip the laundry in the locker room. Well, I would always turn on because their show's an hour before.
Yep.
So I would try to catch the LaVille coach or try to catch Triton. And a lot of the times on the way here, I'd listen to Tony talk to, it was always Plymouth's coach would be on at that time. So I'd talk to him, and he just did a fantastic job. He's going to be missed. And, you just start, I don't want to take too much time here, but you just start thinking about, people think about the coaches, how much time they spend and how much time the players. But there's so much that goes into high school athletics and trying to make it what it is, from people taking tickets and, the athletic directors doing what they do, and just the field maintenance and people painting the lines and people, and just everything that goes into sports. Well, part of that as well is the media and just what they do, and sometimes people get on maybe a media because they spent too much time talking about this team, but we're fortunate that we have what you're doing right now and what Tony did for all those years and Harold, and just that we can be here promoting the kids, and it's a cool thing because I'm not here promoting myself. myself. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the kids and the community and the school. And I think we all know that. I know Tim knows that. And it's just, Tony did a fantastic job. And again, he's been doing it a long time. And then just, being around you, Mitch, the last few years, you have gotten better at your job, and we all do. But when it comes down to it, I think we're all, selfless in the fact that it is for the kids, and it's a great thing. I'll even throw out, as I've gotten older, and even these past few years, officials. Think about officials.
They don't get enough praise.
Nobody ever says, "Boy, that was a great call." That rarely ever happens. Maybe if it was in your favor, you're going to say it.
Right.
But it's always so critical of them. And I've tried to back off myself over the years. It's like, God, these guys are just normal guys, just like us, that get paid not a lot of money to be away from their family and friends and other things on a Friday night or Saturday or whatever to promote this game. There's just so many factors that go into it, and to round this back, Tony was a big part of that, and a lot of people, they heard his voice just like they heard Harold and yours, and that's how they've got to know the kids through the voice of these sportscasts. So again, it's sad, but I think and you guys touched on it. He would want this to continue and us to keep talking. He wouldn't want to see the sports programs go away because he's no longer here. So again, just humbled a bit to know the guy.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Good luck this coming week against Culver in preparation, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. That is head coach of the North Judson-San Blue Jays, Brynn Lambert, here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to talk Knox Redskin football with Russ Radtke. He's in the lobby. Tim Roth's waiting. Don't go anywhere. This is the Saturday Sports Line.
The left hash mark. Barron's going to drop back. Here comes the blitz. Now he's running for his life. He escapes. Jack goes downfield, trying to find Evelyn. Can he get there? Oh, what a dive!
He caught that too. That's Drudge.
Justin Drudge! What a route!
Here comes the 1-2. It's a curveball, slow roller left side. This is going to be a tough play by the pitcher. Fielded by the third baseman who throws the first just in time to that Berkey pile. Good no-quit play by Braden Switz, the third baseman, on the slow roller that got by the pitcher.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
The Saturday Sports Line continues with Kankakee Valley area coaches and special guests. Here's Sports Director Mitch Columbi.
Awaits the next offering from Beck. And he's going to turn on this one down the left field line. Fair!
Back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. Are you okay, Coach? What's going on?
What the hell was that, baseball game?
It's highlights of Tony.
I thought I was here for football.
Well, he did it all, Coach. I mean, you knew that.
You're right. You're right.
The one thing I wasn't able to do is come up with cuts of his hockey games. I wasn't able to get that together, but we do have cuts of Tony doing baseball. We have cuts of Tony doing football and basketball. Now you make me feel bad. I should have got cuts of him doing hockey. I mean, he did it all. I mean, Harold said he did volleyball game. I don't think there's a game he wouldn't call. He'd probably do play-by-play walking through the grocery store.
Yeah, it probably could be. Down in aisle one, here we go.
Boy, this is going to be great. We have Tim Roth sitting in for Chris McGowan. We also have head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke. A big-time win last night for the Knox Redskins as they take care of business on the road against River Forest, 48-13. The score updates we got early, Coach, River Forest was able to get on the board first. But then from what I was told by Nathan Welter in the second half, he said it just felt like River Forest ran out of gas. Tell us what you saw last night.
Well, the flip of the coin, we got it, they had a chance with the ball, and they onside kick.
Right away.
And that stupid ball that we play with, you never know where that thing's going to bounce. I don't know if we can get an Australian kicking ball or something that makes a better chance. That thing bounces, 3 guys hit into each other, and they recover it. Next thing you know, we're down. And, we block an extra point, get the ball back, and then we're back ahead again. And I believe at halftime we were up a good 2 or 3 touchdowns. But the progress of special teams, you really can't put them down for what their effort is. It's just sometimes the ball bounces the right way, and it's going to make us better because of it. And our coaches will work harder to try to prevent those type of situations. I don't know. It ain't like volleyball where you can get up there and block the kick.
Right.
Block the ball coming across the net. But we got to find a way to get our opportunities for making those catches. And sometimes it's just hard. It's just all the way through. But our guys are very resilient. They're a running team and throw some last until we got our game. Next thing I think they put it up 40 times last night.
In the air. Wow.
So you only give up 13 points with 40 throws. There's some other things getting done down there as a result of it. In fact, they might not have even scored their second touchdown because we had a great hit, strip, ball come out. We're picking it up. We're running a 99. I think that happened at Winamac one time.
Here we
Thanks,
go.
Russ, for reminding me.
I don't know. I think the boy was Eric Griffo picked up a ball and ran a 105-yard fumble return or interception out of the end zone. But they called it a fumble, and they got the ball back on the 1 or 2 yard line and knocked it in. So our assistant coach keeps saying, hey, it's a long game. We got plenty of time here. You will get back. Defense will do their jobs, and offense will create opportunities for a lot of scoring and giving us that challenge. So we try to improve.
I want to back up a minute, not to Winamac, but to when Russ and I were coaching against each other. We happened to be in the same cluster one year, and he gave me some advice one time that when you go up north, make sure you walk in amongst your players. And I believe it was River Forest at the time.
It was either that or Lake Station.
And
East Gary, I think it was called, right?
Yeah. And I said, okay, why? And he goes, well, we went up there a couple weeks ago, and we got pelted side to head by rocks.
Oh, my gosh.
You had to walk around behind the school.
That's East Gary.
There are some bushes, and kids would hide back there, and they'd throw rocks at the opponents as you were coming out to warm up. So we made the trip, courtesy of Russ. We hide in amongst the players because they're all wearing helmets. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Coaches aren't. And all of a sudden we hear this pink, pink, pink.
Oh, my God.
They tried getting us, but
what year
as
was
usual,
this?
Russ saved the day for us. So.
Well, it's a different area up there. It's a different group, and I'm sure it's kids,
Sure.
They could have been with slingshots for all we know. But they're definitely in a situation that we had to watch right near the end of the game. We knew it could happen. And a couple guys from their team took a swing at a couple of our guys, and we backed away from it and got ourselves – because, you do something retaliation, you're the one that's going to get the flag, and then you're out next week.
Right.
And I'm sure the frustration on their part was not something they try to coach to get that done, but it definitely carries over and trying to get everything as a preventive right now because, you start out with one of those 64 and they're down to 32 right now. It's so tough to always try to keep that week going. And, those clusters, what Tim's talking about, you used to have to play in a group of 4, I believe. 5. A group of 5, and you'd play your entire season, but whoever won those 5 games out of the 10, I think you played 10 then,
right?
Would get an opportunity to go into the playoffs. Nothing to do with your record or anything. It's just what happened then. Then if you happen to have a tie, you'd have 3 teams show up at one school for a cluster buster. I don't get it, a cluster buster. And they would play in overtime. That's all. You'd put the ball on the 10-yard line. The other team that happened to be the one that you're going to play against, you fumble, they recover it, run in for a touchdown, your game's over. Now the next one shows up, and you play another overtime of 4 downs from the 10-yard line.
Wow.
And then you go home. Now, that was a great idea. The something called the IHSAA came up with at that time, and that didn't last very long. I actually saw one time. It was up at Calumet, and it was involving Griffith and Calumet, and I can't remember who the other school was. I think it was Highland. That you did all your warm-ups. You did all your – I don't even know what you did for concession stands, because the thing could be over in less than 3 minutes. But it definitely was a different time. And, the IHSA's got it right now. Everybody's in. Everybody gets a chance, no matter who you are or what your situation is. Just the only thing we're having a problem with right now is that Carroll game last night against Frontier. You had both teams. It was Carroll out of
Carroll County, yeah.
Out of
Flora.
By Delphi.
Yeah.
Right? Flora. And both teams were undefeated. Both teams undefeated, ranked very high, and one of them's gone in the first week that fast. So we got to do, there's always something to try to figure out how to seed it, come up with ideas to try to make it as fair as we can. But economically, the IHSA cannot come up with an idea right now that works the right direction. So, just like you can't use drones right now. The craziest thing I ever heard of. I thought maybe we could take the drone out and say we're looking for some coyotes. It just happened to have a little bit of the game footage in there, okay?
Right, yeah.
But we're on a coyote watch right now.
Yeah, it's different.
And we've got to make sure that our young calves and so forth, our sheep, are safe. So you never know what district you're going to be in for that situation.
And they've also changed the rule this year for streaming the games for the schools. They have those huddle cameras now where they can stream the game. You can't stream it unless you have a broadcaster, and I don't know how I'm going to have to call them this week and figure out how we're going to get that taken care of. You could stream the games in the postseason. Now they're saying, no, you can't do that. You can't. So it's just interesting things that they're always got their fingers in something, Coach.
Well, they want the broadcast to be there so that they can sell it.
Right.
Yeah. It all comes down to the big money maker, and maybe you could get one of the Manning boys.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Watch Monday Night Football. What the heck are these two guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I got the wrong channel. I got to get on another channel right now, or I'm going to be listening to that. So, back to athletics here, and all the way around. I know you were talking about Tony.
Yeah.
I need to bring something up about Tony. Okay. One of the last interviews down here was us preparing for a game. He came down because he was going to, I believe it was the Bremen game or whatever.
I heard that interview.
And he came down, did a lot of things, and he kept giving me that, that's it. That's enough. And I thought he wanted me to
keep
live some more. Let's bring some more out of this, okay? And finally when he's over, he goes, I can only have about 4 or 5 minutes, but it's always 20 minutes of you giving me a lot of bull, what. And but it was positive, And something else he brought up too, and this is something for you, Berndt. He said that broadcasting is hard, it's tough, And he says Mitch has got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
And I said, well, no. He's young, he's youthful. You got to get in and get your feet wet and do some things here and there, and he'll be good. But right now, he's got a long ways to go. And I said to him, I go, well, it looks like he's got a long career then. If you can do it that long, you'll get it correct and do it right, and then you can be a Harold Welter or some of these guys like this. So that's a good positive for you. And he's always critiquing and giving you the positive nature. Nothing really complaining or whining or anything like that, or why do I have to drive all the way down here? He was exciting, and he always stayed around and watched a good 45 minutes to an hour of our practice.
Yeah.
And I always come over right when he gets ready. I go, you got any good ideas? He goes, no, I think you got most of them right. So,
I got that idea going to practice from him.
Yeah.
He's the one that told me. He said, you need to go to these practices so that you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So I got that idea from him.
Yeah. You just were taking too many pictures of practice, okay? Which I pointed out. All right.
I always make sure they're okay to post. I make sure with you guys.
All right. No problem.
So okay, let's talk this week. Griffith.
Yep.
What do you know about him? And are you is it at home this week or away?
You know, it's just like Dorothy said in The Wizard of Oz, you know. When the Wicked Witch or the Nice Witch, whichever one was going to send her home, said, you had the opportunity to get there all on your own. You had nothing to do with me. And Dorothy said, what are you talking about? She goes, your little slippers you're wearing right there get you where you want to be. And all you got to do is say, there's nothing like home. There's nothing like home. How she said the exact words, I'm not sure. But right now, we're at home. That's what we want to be. And our football program strives on it. Community strives on it. We keep winning. We got the next 2 at home no matter what. And this is the luck of the draw, opportunity. I can remember Tim coming in on Saturday mornings too. He goes, you know, you're just the luckiest blankety blank there guy there is, you know, because we'd happen to sneak into a playoff or whatever, you know, here or there, you know. This team had to beat this team, who had to beat this team, and you ended up being. And then we go to the IHSA and say, no, we want to be number 3. We want to be number 4. And you try to tell the IHSA, I want to be the 4th ranked instead of the 3rd ranked because I want to play the team I know I can beat at 3rd place because the next week then would be at our place, and I need that home game. And it was down to 100ths of a point to convince how you used to add that up. But this thing is something that's community-based. You know, I remember always going down to the Winamac games. Man, that crowd was just something else, you know. And if you could get your community as excited as we had the bigger crowd last night.
On an away game.
Yeah, away game, driving all the way up there to River Forest and turning at the Red Rooster. Everybody kept going, what if we got to turn on a Red Rooster? I get up to the Red Rooster, and it wasn't there. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, there's a car lot in there now. That restaurant is not there. Everybody's going to be driving around trying to find a Red Rooster.
Would that be Highway 41?
That's 41 coming up on
you knew what he was talking about.
Off of Ridge Road right there.
There you go.
And you find out where the Red Rooster was, and you always knew how to get to River Forest. But we have a lot of work ahead of us. We try to strive nothing more against the team and opponent you're working on right now. They're very good. They're 9-1, and they'll come in with a great attitude, got a great coach. Their staff that we played against last night with River Forest is, Marc is a great coach and a young man that I've worked with and against, and he's actually been in my program a couple times. So we're going in now against a program that has a great atmosphere of history in the past. I'm just glad one main thing has happened, okay? When I came here to Knox, one of the big things, AD, principal, superintendent, everybody says, hey, there's one thing, we'll get it. You want it? You know what it was? Turf. I told them, no way. There is no way we need AstroTurf in Knox, Indiana. For the pigeons and the ducks to lay their you-don't-want over their damn stuff, okay? We need grass and dirt. And we're playing on dirt. That's what's going to count, you know. And it's just a different atmosphere out there. And when we played at Gym Towns and the CMA, it was important to get ready for it, okay? But to play on dirt is a lot different than playing on what they have been playing up there for the last couple for this whole entire season. That's for sure.
And you had a stint with Griffith, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
What now?
You had a stint with Griffith for some time, didn't you?
There was a time that for 19 years we did some great things there. There's no doubt about it. Okay,
it's a little history coming into this week.
But it's important to these kids weren't around. They didn't know what was going on. We're playing with right now. We will present Knox football with the best opportunity we can, offensively and defensively, and a crowd. That's what we want. It's just like today. You know, we get here this morning at 6:30, and the band's already out there practicing. Yeah. Our band's going to semi-state. They got to end up in the top 10. If you don't end up in the top 10 today, your season's over. So they're up there this morning already. When I come sneaking through, they're out there stretching and so forth. They run laps. You know, I don't know. They do everything that it counts to try to get themselves ready. And a couple of our football players run that team too. So we'll create a great atmosphere next week. You guys doing it?
Boy, he would ask that. He's good, isn't he?
You're not.
I'll say it right now. We're going to do it.
All right.
We're going to do it.
Okay. All right. That's what I want to hear.
On a personal note, Russ.
Yeah.
You're not coaching at Knox. You could be coaching anywhere. You're going. Are you glad you don't have to go back to Griffith where you had all that success?
Well, I just don't want to have to go back there to play on that AstroTurf. There's great games in grass that we played there. Some of them were dirt. Some of them got so bad we brought that baseball stuff out that you put on the diamond to dry it out.
Yeah.
I think we were 55 bags at one time. And the other team was whining and complaining because their elbows and their hands are getting all cut up in and so forth like that. And so halftime, I remember the maintenance guy came out and threw another 15, 20 bags on it. So we had at New Prairie, went back to Griffith. We had when I was at Griffith, we had nailed New Prairie by about 45 or whatever the year before. We went back there the very next year. I think the second game after I left there was back at Griffith, and we won 14-7.
How was the reception?
If I remember right, they ended up having to throw the chain gang out because they were so upset on our sideline. And those guys worked for me for I don't know how many years, The referees go, "Can you take this any longer?" And I said, "Hey, you guys do what you got to do. All right, you guys are out of here." And that's part of the world, That the life is something you have to live with every day, and you adjust to it, and you don't whine and complain, and you go about the right way. So that's a good question, Tim. I'm glad we're here playing in Stark County. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be there for you, Coach. Going live at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on KVB's WKVI as the Knox Redskins host Griffith right here. Man, this is going to be a great game. I appreciate you coming in.
I think you said those times wrong.
Well, when's kickoff?
7 o'clock Central.
7 Central?
8 o'clock
Holy
Eastern.
cow. So we're going live at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central.
All right. Let's get that right,
That's a late game.
And then, of course, there's a blackout. Your radios will not work in the stands. I can tell you that right now.
He's lying.
We're clogging. We're going to block that
This
out.
isn't the Indy 500.
I'm going to get our Geek Squad in there, and we're going to say the only way to see this game is to be here live.
Well, maybe you need to get with the IHSAA. They're doing the blackouts, so maybe that'd be the people you need to talk to.
I'm sure my name's been brought up enough times. I'd just say that I wouldn't need a greeting card on my shoulder when I pull in. They don't.
One thing I will say that Tony Ross did all those years over there in Plymouth, and then what Harold did is, I've covered both areas in my career here at KVB. All the coaches are whipped into shape. And I've actually talked to some coaches where they'll go other places and get interviewed by other radio stations. And at the end of the interview, head coach Buzz Schoff told me this at South Central. He said the guy at the end of the interview said, "Wow, coach, you really are good at that." And Buzz said, "Well, that's because I have a radio program in our area that covers us weekly, and we have a radio show." And I think that just speaks volumes of what Tony did all those years and then what Harold did here. They whipped you guys into shape. You guys don't shy from an interview. You know how to speak.
Well, Tim and I used to do it back in the 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah.
Then I left here for about 25 years. All of a sudden, I'm back, and I guess I got to catch every little opportunity I can to put back something that that I didn't do for those 30 years. But you're right. It's a whole different atmosphere. It's beautiful to have when you're out there in those other school corporations in the down south or in Griffith or New Prairie. They don't have it. They don't have any radio station, no broadcast, nothing in that direction. And this is a community-based thing that people should be very proud about and be willing to sponsor and find a way, any way we can, to keep these two programs, WKVI and what's theirs over there called?
WYMR, Max 98.3 FM.
So you did a pretty good job on that. You might have another job later on just doing background announcing and so forth of advertisements and so forth.
Well, this was fun. You guys actually got along today. Were you surprised?
No, we've always got along, We always ate the donuts and had good time and so forth. But when it came time to the football game, it was a war.
Yeah.
It was a war. That's what it has to be.
Unfortunately, he had my number more than I had his, but my only claim to fame with Russ is 1983 back in the cluster. We had to go to Judson. They had a 30-game home winning streak, and he had cannons and everything else there.
You bet. But you guys brought scaffolding. and set it up on their side, off behind the fence, so they could get their radio guys up higher than what we were going to provide them for the third row. The third row was already going to get when Winamac showed up for your spotters. So, okay, here we go. So hey, that's a challenge. Bring it and use it. And I remember that scaffolding had to be close to 25, 30 feet high. And they had their guys up on top. And Coach, got a minute yet? Because Coach Bungie, had passed away, a football legend from Bremen for a long time and so forth like that. And his son came up to see me at one of the junior high games or freshman game we had a couple weeks ago. And he came up and introduced himself. And, he said, Coach, I got to play against you one time, and I got to, knocked out of me or whatever, but I was only a sophomore. He says, I played in that Bremen game at Judson. And I go, the 6-0 game? And that was one of the greatest games ever. When the lights were actually, I might have brought this up, the lights looked just like that legendary baseball game that they played out in the cornfields and so forth.
Oh, Field of Dreams.
Yeah, because the light bulbs were actually popping and the ashes were actually falling down because it was snowing and raining, and it was a mid-November game, I think a sectional championship or whatever, regional. And I remember Coach Bungie just whining and complaining and hollering that, why do we? I go, okay, we'll solve the problem. We'll shut the lights off. He goes, we're going to do what? I said, well, we'll shut the lights off so they're still on during game time. That's a pretty good idea. So we shut off half the banks and only left one light on for all the warm-ups, so that by the time that storm had passed through and the snow and whatever, we were able to go. That's about the only thing, I can really say that, this young man remembers being in that game and so forth. And it happens all the time where you see a lot of great things taking place, no matter, sometimes you're going to be on the opposite end. And what Bremen did to us earlier this year and beat us in that situation like they did, that made us coaches wake up. This is not going to happen again. And we work so much harder. And as long as you could take any game, no matter L or W, and make yourself better the next week, that's what life is. And if you can't find another day to be better, no matter if you're downs and ups or whatever, you're not going to get anywhere.
There is a lot of Indiana high school football history in this room right now. Our listeners are so lucky to have this moment. Thank you for talking with us this morning, Coach. It means a lot. We'll see you this week.
Tim was a president of the IHS. No, you wasn't the IHSA, were you? President of the IFC. That's our Indiana Football Coaches Association. Right. Okay. And if I remember, I got one of our plaques in our locker room was signed by Tim when we had one of his duties was signing the conference championship trophies, plaques that every coach gets for his school and whatever. And Tim's on there, so that's good when he was associated with and working for the Indiana Football Coaches Association, which is one of the best coaches associations in the state of in the United States. Texas might be bigger. They might say who they are, but they might be the Lone Star State. But when you talk about Indiana Football Coaches Association of states in the union, Indiana's right up there up top. I put them a little bit ahead of that basketball association we have here in the state, just for effort and time.
Yeah. Sure. Well, thanks so much for your time, Coach. We'll catch up with you this week, and good luck against Griffith.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. That is head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke. Another historic moment here on KVB's WKVI. Man, that was a lot of fun. You learn a lot from these two. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to call Marc Hall of the West Central Trojans. Tough loss last night for them, but we will catch up with them on the other side.
And the man of constant sorrow.
Got to the entry to Austin, spins, turns off balance, and still got it to go. Knox takes the lead for the first time today.
Wow, how did that go in?
23-22. Here's the snap. It's going to be throwing a deep ball left side, looking for Workman. He's open! Got it! 15-10-5. Touchdown, Trojans!
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, agriculture has been a cornerstone of our business for more than 135 years. Our personal relationships within the ag community run deep for multiple generations. If you're looking for a financial partner that knows, understands, and supports agriculture, I'd love to hear from you. I'm Isaac Blue, Ag Banker at First Farmers. Come into our Knox, North Judson, or Culver branches, or visit us online at ffbt.com when you're ready to talk about growing your operation. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Listen for more insight in local high school sports on the Saturday Sports Line. Here's your sports director, Mitch Columbi.
So it'll be Miller to inbound right to the basket. And caught in the corner by Drivelbus. He'll fire the three. Good! With 6 seconds left.
Back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. We are honoring the late, great Tony the Boss Ross, our very own. Did such an amazing job for us at Max 98.3 FM, WYMR. We will continue honoring him throughout the show, playing highlights, but for now, we're going to transition to the West Central Trojans football team. They fell to one of WYMR's area teams in the LaVille Lancers last night, 41-6. The West Central Trojans end their season at 6-4. We've talked with head coach Marc Hall the last few weeks. Injuries just have been an issue for the Trojans. And from what I talked to him last night, it seems like not only injuries but also sickness. Coach, how did last night go in terms of knowing all of that now? How did last night go overall?
Overall, I was happy with how we played. Like Tuesday, we only had 11 guys dressed because of injuries and sickness. Then Wednesday we were up to 15, and then Thursday we were at 18. And I think last night we had 19 dressed. So we played hard. We did as much as we could. We got the lead first. We returned the opening kickoff. Felipe Bazan ran it back, and for the first 4 minutes of the game, we were in the lead. End of the first quarter was 7-6, and then there's 21-6 at the end of the end of halftime. So I thought our kids played hard. They did the best we could. I thought we had some opportunities that we didn't take advantage of. But we made some plays to try to stay in it there in that first half, and then they scored 2 in the third, and then another one in the fourth there to get to 41. But again, I was pleased with the effort. Again, at no point during the week did we really get to run any real scout against anything, and have a normal type of practice. So it was I thought, for the circumstances, the best we could have hoped for.
Coach, I'm also here with Tim Roth. Of course, he told me in the break he'd coached against you for a few years. Man, when you come off a tough loss like that, you had such a great season, Coach. It just sucks that it had to come down to the sectional draw, and you got LaVille. They're not a bad team. No, they play a tough conference. Now they're 5-5. They were 4-5 going into the game, but they play 2A and 3A schools most of the year. They start the year with 2 1A schools, and then from there on it's 2A and 3A schools. So they're used to playing the bigger schools, and they have, I think, 40-something kids on their roster, and they played really well.
Marc, you said the effort was there from your kids and satisfied with that, but did they, because of the sickness that you've had there this week, did they just kind of run out of gas the second half? A little bit. And as you know, with 1A football, we don't have a whole lot of breaks for people. And, right. And that was kind of, it's intensified as the season has gone on because we have had quite a few injuries this year.
yeah, so having the kids with having them play a little bit more and do a little bit more in some different special team areas. We did have some kids that you could tell they were breathing a little bit harder than normal because they couldn't breathe through their nose and it was all plugged up. But that's kind of what happens this time of the year. People start to get a little colds like that, and again, I'm very pleased with our effort. Just wish we could have drawn someone else in the first round, so we could have maybe gotten past that and gotten over some of our sicknesses.
Yeah, because to me, the first round was always the toughest game to win in a sectional. It felt like once you could get past that first week, then you could get the ball rolling again. But a lot of times you're playing teams that maybe you hadn't played during the year, that you didn't know as much about. The kids weren't familiar or weren't comfortable with what they do. And it just, bad things can just snowball. And before you know it, it's game time and the game gets out of hand and your season's done. But it sounded to me like your kids gave a great effort and unfortunately just ran into a better team on that night.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. LaVille was they're better than what their record shows. At one point, I think in the beginning of the year, maybe in the preseason polls in 1A, I think they were in the top 5.
Yeah, right.
To start the year. So they came down from 2A last year, where they were, I think, played in regionals. I think is where they went out at. I think they were 11-2 last year. So they've had about a decade here where they've had a lot of success, and their kids, again, they're used to that. So they've played very, very well. We just ran into a team we just couldn't overcome.
Right. LaVille's always been a solid program. They've always had good athletes. They're 99.9% of the time very well coached and play a great schedule to get them prepared for the tournament.
Yeah.
Coach, there's a lot of names on this team. Before I give you the time to talk about your seniors, there are a lot of names on this team that will be returning. Cameron Newest, Felipe Bazan, you mentioned a moment ago, Caden Gutwine, Dre Villarreal, Connor Huber, Ezra Rodriguez. You got a lot of returning players coming back next year that got a lot of varsity minutes this year. Talk about some of the guys that you're proud of in terms of the underclassmen and growth.
Yeah, you mentioned several of the guys there, and that's at no point this year were we at full strength because we had some people out at the beginning of the year because of some disciplinary issues, and then once the season got going, we had injuries to people. So, our seniors didn't play one game together this year. We only had 6 of them, and not one game do we have all 6 of them playing. And then at the end of the last couple weeks, we've had 2 to 3 of them out every game. So it's been a lot of younger classmen that have had to step up, and they've done a pretty good job of it. You mentioned Ezra Rodriguez. That's a kid that this is only his second year playing football, and he's a very athletic kid, but he just doesn't know a whole lot yet. And he this year started the year as an outside linebacker for us, and then after the first game, we decided we're going to put him at defensive end for a little bit, just to give a breather, because we only had 2 defensive ends that were playing at the time period. And then he's from that point and then to where he is now has made tremendous growth, and very pleased with what he has done, and look forward to what he's going to be able to do in the next 2 years of his career here. Landon Hughes, our other defensive end, is another young guy that was another sophomore that started both ways as defensive end and the center for us. So he did a lot of things up front, getting everybody ready and getting them to call out the signals to each other on the offensive line. And as the year progressed, he did a much better job of that. And then you mentioned Dre. He's our leading rusher. He was our leading tackler on the year as well. So he's another kid that every year has gotten better, and he'll be going into his senior year now, and we expect him to be the leader of the team and to perform even better than we did this year. Connor Huber, another one that you mentioned there, as a freshman, started right away on defense and ended up being our second leading tackler on the year with 102 tackles. So did a tremendous job. And last night he was all over the place on defense for us. Had 10 solo tackles and 6 assist tackles, so 16 total tackles on the night. And is a great kid. He's going to have to, by the last 3-4 games of the year, also was starting on offense as well as one of our wings once Jaden Miller went out. So was playing both ways as a freshman and on all special teams as well. So never came off the field. So we only expect better things from him, and he's going to take on an even bigger role next year offensively because he's going to be, from the entire get-go of the season, going to be a starter for us. So a lot of things to be excited about as far as the younger guys, and we've got some good classes in the middle school that will be moving up here soon. The 8th grade has been back-to-back conference champions in the middle school level for us. So we're looking for big things out of them, and then the 7th graders after them once they come up. But we got a lot of good things going on in the future that we're going to be looking forward to, and you're going to hear a lot of guys that they're probably going to be playing early, especially up front. Offensive line, defensive line is probably going to be our thinnest area as we go into next year. So that's a place we're going to have to spend a lot of time this off season trying to find some more people to come out and play because that's definitely where we have the fewest amount of kids playing at right now. So that's going to be one of our keys this off season to moving into next year is finding some offensive linemen. But senior wise, we had 6 this year. It is out of the last 3 years here, this is our smallest of the senior classes we've had. But this group is also still a part of the teams that won conference 2 years ago. The last 2 years we've been runner-up in conference. These seniors they were there as a freshman when we went 2-8, and then they've been there when we've had winning seasons last 3 years. So they've been a huge part of that turnaround we've had, and I'm very proud of them and happy for all the things they've been able to accomplish. Addison Huber this year came in. Last year played receiver for us, and then this year in the off season, we said, "Hey, we need you to try a quarterback," and he just said, "Sure, I'll try it," and then ended up being our quarterback as we went through the year, and that was pretty late in the spring that we ended up going to him. And with our offense, it takes a while to fully understand things, and Addison was getting better every week and was really getting a lot better at reads and riding the read and then pulling at the last moment, and was doing a really nice job of that. But unfortunately, in our Frontier game in the second half, he dislocated his shoulder, and it was out then for the rest of the year after that. And he was really, I thought, was really starting to pick up on the quarterback and what to do with all that stuff. So it was a bad break for him, but he is a great kid. Did an excellent job for us. Was also one of our starting outside linebackers. Just very pleased with what he was able to do for us this year. Jaden Miller, another one of our seniors that played a lot from the sophomore year, junior year, this year, who became one of our starting wings. And then defensively, he had played an outside linebacker position, but we needed some defensive ends. So beginning of the year, we moved him to defensive end. He was undersized, and I think at first he was happy about it, but then he was like, "Hey, these guys I'm going against are a lot bigger than what I'm used to, so I don't know if I like it so much." But once he got the hang of it, and he was starting to get it about midway through the year, and was doing a really nice job for us, was our leading tackler as far as tackles for loss this year, was doing a great job of coming off the end for us. And unfortunately, he also got injured for the season during our South Newton game, broke some bones in his forearm. So it is unfortunate because he was really starting to come into his own there as defensive end for us. But another great kid that you feel bad for. because of all the work he had put in. He was pound for pound our strongest kid on the team as well, so it was a big loss when we lost him as well. And then Christian Hughes, another one of our seniors, he played in 2.5 games this year. He came back at a North White game, was his first full game of the year, and he had to step in as quarterback for that week because Addison, the week before in the Frontier game, had dislocated his shoulder. So Christian came back for that was able to lead us to a victory over North White during that week. And then last night was our quarterback, and did again the best we can hope for. Again, when we didn't have a whole lot of live reps during the week with scout things, but Christian is a kid that as a freshman started for us on the offensive line. Sophomore year was on the offensive line as a tackle for us, and then junior year we moved him to tight end, and then this year he had to play quarterback for us on those last 2 games that he played. So he's a kid that's a really good athlete. He's played a lot of football for us. He's going to be a kid that's going to be hard to replace because we've had him starting for so many years. But again, another really good kid there. All played defense as well as a starter for us. His freshman through junior year had played defensive end for us, and then this year, the 2 games that he played there, we had to put him as an outside linebacker to replace Addison when he got injured. So again, another versatile type player that we're going to miss. Especially these 3 guys that we've been talking about here, because they've been versatile for us. Then our next senior, Blake Endress, is the biggest guy we have on our team as far as height, and then also weight. When he was a sophomore, he was not where he is at today, and the progress he has made from his freshman and sophomore years to where he is at today is tremendous. When he was a junior, he got his shot to be a starter, and you could tell that he was a little bit nervous about things, but progressed every week. And then this year, as a senior, again kept progressing every week, and just did a great job for us. And then also took on the role as being a defensive tackle this year for us. So he went from freshman and sophomore year not playing a whole lot with some of those groups that we had, to then last year as a junior only playing on offense. But this year really didn't come off the field other than special teams. So did a tremendous job for us. Great job just being a leader up there up front for us, and very pleased with his progress that he had made and what he turned himself into on the offensive and defensive line for us. Johnny Rao, the next of our seniors, undersized kid, about 140 something pounds, but he's all heart. He plays as hard as he can every single play. He doesn't care who it's against. He doesn't care if it's a kid that's 300 pounds, 100 pounds. He doesn't care who it is. He's going to go hit him as hard as he possibly can. So Johnny is a kid that last year, about midway through it, so his junior year, we needed some more offensive lineman help. So we moved him to offensive line, and he ended up being a starter this year at 145 pounds, one of our guards, and just did a tremendous job. He would pull, get in people's way, and then defensively, he's been our middle linebacker this year, and in the past years he's also been middle linebacker, but was a full-time starter this year on offense and defense, and was our third leading tackler this year with 98 tackles on the season. As a middle linebacker, again, he's undersized at 145 pounds, but he'd be the kid that you'd be all of a sudden you see the back or quarterback or whoever it is would just go down, and you're like, who hit him? And then all of a sudden you look down and Johnny's down at his ankles, because Johnny would always go low and take out ankles of people, and he knew that's where he had to go with his size. He wasn't going to be able to take people up tall, up high, so would always go down low and take people's legs out, and you'd all of a sudden just see somebody fall and be like, where's somebody at in the pile? And you'd see Johnny pop up and they'd be jogging back to the huddle. So he's going to be a kid that's going to be missed. A very tough-nosed kid that we definitely need. We need those kids. They're great for football teams.
Is your
the last
No,
one,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, our last one is Nick Pinacaro. He's a kid that came out as a sophomore, and he came out that year knowing that we had a bunch of linemen, but he was wanting to get experience for the next year. So his junior year, when we weren't going to have as many, and he thought he would have more of an opportunity to play. And got in some last year. Then this year became a starter as a tackle for us on offense. Played some on defense as well as a defensive tackle. But the progress that he made from a sophomore that came in never playing football and not knowing what was going on to now has been great. One of our strongest kids that we had on the team as well. So again, those 6 seniors, they played a lot of football for us. They were all a part of that conference championship that we had 2 years ago, and then all have played a huge role in the last 2 years as well, being runner-up in the conference.
Coach, you completed your 11th year there at West Central last night, and the last 3 seasons, including this one, have been winning seasons. So trying to find positives to take away, you've been able, with the seniors you just talked about, the last 3 years, they've been winners throughout the seasons.
Yes, absolutely, and that's part of the culture change that we've been trying to do, and it's spread down through the lower levels as well. As I mentioned, we've got back-to-back conference championships in the middle school level. We started a youth program last year that's got huge numbers, and they've been very successful in what they've done. We've got 3rd through 6th playing tackle football in 2 different age groups there. We've got kindergarten through 2nd grade playing flag football. So it's been a tremendous change that we've had these last couple of years, and it's because these kids that they've stuck with it. When they came in as high schoolers, we had gone through a stretch where things weren't great. We were getting beat up a little bit, and that senior group 2 years ago decided we wanted to change things, and everyone else, these younger guys that are now these seniors that we just had, they all bought in and went with it and said, we'll follow whatever you guys do. And it's been a great change. And the juniors that we had this year, that's all they know is winning ways. So it's up to them now, and everyone else that's left now, the underclassmen, that they've got to continue the roles and expand upon what these guys in the past couple of years have been doing.
This may be a stretch, Coach, since you're one of the farther teams away that we cover here on WKVI, but did you ever have a chance to meet Tony Ross?
I don't think that I did.
I just didn't know if he'd ever covered a West Central game by chance. Of course, that's way far away.
It's possible, but it's may have been years ago, but I can't say for sure.
No, understandable. Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate you hopping on here and talking with us. I hate goodbyes, but we had a great season this year. It was an honor to cover you. What a great win it was in Week 2, where we saw a lot of great things happen against the Cavs. You got that win, but honored to be able to talk to you every Saturday throughout the fall, Marc. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all the coverage you guys do for us and the local area teams as well. And just we look forward to seeing you guys next year, and hope you have a great rest of your football season.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Marc. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, or try to.
Right. Thank you.
All right, that is head coach of the West Central Trojans. It's Marc Call. They finished their season at 6-4, another winning record for the Trojans. We're going to take a break and come back. We will stay in Pulaski County to talk about the Winamac Warriors with head coach Josh Burgess. He's up next.
One ball, one strike. 2 out. Here in the bottom of the first. Neville leading 1-0. The pitch. Fastball rocketed into right field, and that'll be a base hit. And then it gets by the right fielder. Rush
Shively takes a big round second. He's headed to third. The relay throw is going to be late, and it's going to be a triple because the right fielder never touched it. Did he, Rusty?
You look at me, you got nothing left to say.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, agriculture has been a cornerstone of our business for more than 135 years. Our personal relationships within the ag community run deep for multiple generations. If you're looking for a financial partner that knows, understands, and supports agriculture, I'd love to hear from you. I'm Isaac Blue, Ag Banker at First Farmers. Come into our Knox, North Judson, or Culver branches, or visit us online at ffbt.com when you're ready to talk about growing your operation. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
It's time now for more local sports talk from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting and worldwide on WKVI.com.
Freeman wound up with that loose ball, so they're on offense. Hickman for three. Bingo. That is 3 threes for Cam Hickman.
We are honoring the late, great Tony the Boss Ross here on KVB's WKVI. We appreciate all of our listeners in the area. The outpouring of support on social media showed all of us how important that man was to us. Man, tomorrow is going to be so hard for all of us as the viewing is going to be held at Plymouth High School Gym following from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, and then at 6 will be the funeral. Man, that's going to be a tough one tomorrow. But we transition to the Winamac Warriors. A tough loss last night as they hosted Taylor. We didn't know much about Taylor, but the Winamac Warriors unfortunately fall 35-12. Their season comes to a close at 4-5, but we have head coach of the Winamac Warriors in the house. It's Josh Burgess. Good morning, Coach. I know it didn't go the way you had hoped to last night, but I sure do appreciate you being here this morning.
Oh, no. Appreciate having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, let's talk about last night. We got some score updates here and there throughout last night. It didn't seem like they didn't roll over you. I mean, you guys were in the game and you played tough, but you just made a comment there on the off the air. It looks like they played a little bit better than what you had saw on film.
I thought we got off to a pretty good start. Took the ball, completed a long pass on kind of a double pass, double reverse pass, busted that out, little trick play, and then drove downfield, got it in for 6-0. So we were feeling pretty good at the start. Defensively, I think we had a little trouble early, especially adjusting to their team speed. They had some athletes that we were concerned about on film, obviously, but I think in person they're a little bit quicker. They scored on a long touchdown pass. We kind of blew coverage. Didn't have a guy back in the deep third, and they completed that to their credit. And then, just offensively, we moved the ball pretty consistently. We would just have a penalty that would set us back. We had some turnovers, some fumbles that set us back too. And then, like I said, number 12 for them, kid that had played quarterback early on and had broken his hand and hadn't played, basically since about week 3. They'd been working him back in a little bit here the last couple weeks, and the cast was off his hand, and they had him at fullback, and he was the real deal. He ripped off a 34-yard touchdown run in the second quarter, and then kind of the backbreaker. We had it 14-6, gave the ball back to them with about a minute and a half left. Had a defensive end rush upfield a little too far. He cut underneath it. We didn't have anybody catch him on the back end, so I think that was an 86-yard touchdown run right before half. So 21-6. Made some adjustments at halftime defensively. I thought we came out in the third quarter and played pretty well defensively. Stayed at 21-6. I think really the other key point in the game besides that touchdown run, we punted, had a good punt, got them back inside the 10, had a couple tackles for loss. They were on the 2-yard line. They threw a fullback flare on about 3rd and 20. It was a backward pass. Whistle never blew. We had 3 kids in the end zone just look at the football. Their kid picked it up and ran for about 23 yards to get a first down. So that's a potential, maybe you're looking at 21-12.
Yeah.
With a 2-point conversion back to a touchdown. They ended up finishing that drive out and scoring on that drive. So it went from, potentially 21-12 to 28-6. We were able to get a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, but they got one more score in at the end off another turnover that we had. So, kids' effort, we can't fault the effort. I thought our kids played really hard, but at the same time in the playoffs, if you're going to turn the ball over and have penalties and not take advantage of those opportunities that you have, you're not going to win a game in the playoffs.
So something that stuck out in the stats you sent was you had the same amount of first downs as Taylor, 14. You ran the ball for 37 times, 198 yards. And then I thought this stat was really great considering your freshman quarterback, 9 for 10 passing, 126 yards in the air. I mean, there were some bright spots.
Yeah, and just again, I thought at times, both offensively and defensively, we did some nice things. We just weren't as consistent. For 48 minutes is what we needed to be in. And if you're not going to do that in a playoff game, you're not going to get it done.
Well, no, go ahead.
And this guy's never going to make excuses. I can tell you that from having had him as a player and as an assistant coach. But, and I want the average listener to understand this, and it's not unique to Winamac. There are other schools going through the same thing. But I've told Josh, I don't know how many times this season when I'd be down at practice or whatever, with only 4 seniors, I've told him, Josh, you're nothing more than a glorified JV team playing on Friday nights. I said, you're going to take some lumps. These young kids are going to make mistakes. You just have to stay positive and consider those to be teaching moments that you can improve on. And again, the average fan or the average Warrior fan isn't going to understand it because they want to win all the games.
They want to win now.
But but I've seen growth from the start of the season here to the end, and I was only there for half last night till I had to go home. And I've seen the young kids grow, and that doesn't happen overnight. I don't care what school. If you're playing young kids at 5 and 6A levels, they're going to make mistakes. You're going to have bad things happen, and a lot of times young kids can't get over those bad things to make good things happen the next play. And I've seen that. I know Josh is frustrated with it, but it's called growing pains. And he's done a great job of crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, treating the kids the way they should be. And the wins will take care of themselves. They're coming. When these young kids grow up, they're winners right now. It may not show on the scoreboard, but I can see it coming.
Something that I find interesting, Coach, is that you and several of the assistant coaches get in there in practice. You guys are running drills with them. You're holding the pads and letting you're taking hits and stuff. You're being hands on with the kids. So it's every time I went to practice, it's like all hands on deck. You're very into everything you're doing, and like he said, it's almost like in the long run, it's going to make it that much sweeter when you do get there because you know what it all took to get there.
Yeah, hey, we want to win every game that we're in. That's our goal every time we set foot on the field. But at the same time, only my 3rd year as a head coach, but I've been doing it for a while now. I've got an experienced coaching staff with me. We're trying to teach the kids some life lessons. And, if we can teach them some things about life and prepare them to be, good men, good husbands, good fathers down the road. And if we can win a couple football games and do that, hey, you can't tell me that we haven't had a successful season. So I know we're on the right track. I know we're doing the right things. We had a lot of young kids that had to play this year, and that's not an excuse. I don't like the excuse of you're young. But at the same time, we were, and it's not an excuse. So just the growth from a lot of our kids, especially freshmen, sophomores, even some juniors that really hadn't played a lot before this year. Just really pleased and happy with it. But I told those kids last night after we talked about the seniors, hey, you can do one of two things with it. You can come in and work hard in the weight room. You can do the right things in class. You can be a good member of the community. You've got to improve. And we've got some kids that are on the right track, but they still have a little bit of growing up to do. So, that's a decision that they're going to have to make here as we approach the off season.
Talk about your seniors.
Just 4 of them, but just really proud of those guys. Again, they've played a lot of football for us, but they're better individuals, and that's what we're more concerned with. We've got Aiden Schooler, 3-year player for us. Aiden, defensive back, running back, played a little quarterback for us. We had to have him step in the season, so in a position that he wasn't used to playing. So that tells you the type of kid that he is, willing to do that. Reed Anderson is another kid that's played for us. He didn't play last year. And he came back out and was just thrilled that he did. Got banged up in the Pioneer game, worked his way back, and He's played the last couple weeks for us and really done a nice job on the offensive line. Played some linebacker for us. Last night, he played about 3/4 at defensive end and really did a good job there. We've got Addison Allen. Addie's been around our program for 4 years.
Yeah.
Just ornery kid, but we love him to death. Been a defensive back for us and a running back, and really provided some good leadership for us this year. Works well with the younger kids and does everything we ask him. And then Talon Garner, another kid. As far as leadership, he provided some much-needed leadership for us this year. All 4 of those guys, but Talon in particular, just loves football, loves working with the younger kids. He helps younger kids out in practice. Talon, too, I get to see him every day in the weight room, and he's one of the better weight room kids that we've had in a long time. And the reason why is because he works like a dog.
It shows.
Yeah, he works like a dog. He loves it. You get the same thing out of Talon, game, practice, weight room every day. He's yelling and screaming all the time and in high energy. So, those are 4 kids that have played a lot of football for us and have really meant a lot to our program. And like I said, they're good football players, and that's fine. But they're going to be successful in life. They're better individuals. So that's really what we're going to miss more than the football aspect of those guys.
I've talked to Tim off the air before, and he loves this coaching staff that you've put together, Coach. Name the guys on your coaching staff, because I know they put a lot of work in too. Yeah,
very fortunate to have the guys that I do and have them willing to help us out. We've got all Winamac guys.
Yeah.
So and all these guys have. You talk about Tim being in here. We've all coached for Tim, played for Tim. So, I think that's important. Guys that have the best interest of the program in mind. I've said it before. I want guys, obviously know what they're talking about football, but even more importantly, I want guys that are going to treat the kids the right way and be good guys in the community. And that's what we've got. We've got Marc Hendricks. Talk about Marc a lot. Marc's been at it for 37 years now. He's my position coach in high school. So just very fortunate to have him around and, just doing the things that he does. My brother Brandon, he's been at it for a while now too. And, just really happy to be able to be around him every day and how he handles the kids. Levi Schultz. Levi hasn't been around as much lately as what we liked. He broke his arm during the North Judson week running scout team quarterback. So we've given him a little bit of
I remember you telling me that.
A little bit of a hard time about that. But he's been back around for the games. And, Levi played for us. He treats the kids really well and does a good job. And then we brought Guy Rugg on this year, and Guy graduated with me. So I played football with him. I wrestled with him. You want to talk about one of the best athletes ever come through Winamac? That's Guy Rugg. But again, he did an excellent job. He coached kids really well. He will do anything we ask him to do. Volunteer coach. So I've got my other brother Kyle that's around. That's Ethan's dad. So he's in and around. Matt Swartzel does a lot of stuff for us. So we've got a great staff put together, and those guys make me look good. I don't have to worry a lot about what's going on with what they're doing. They coach the kids up, they treat the kids well, and do an excellent job. So I'm just very blessed to have the kids that we do at Winamac and also the coaches that we do at Winamac.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Coach Roth. You got any stories about Coach Burgess here you want to share with us?
None that I can share on the radio. No. Just kidding.
Of course, he played for you.
Yeah. Actually, Josh was thrown into the fire early. We had, I can't remember the actual situation, but Josh was a freshman, and it was a playoff game, wasn't it?
Playoff game, yeah.
At John Glenn.
John Glenn, yep.
And I don't remember who was playing in front of Josh, but Coach Jack Hendricks at the time was my defensive coordinator, Marc's dad. And was it an injury, or did Jack just get upset?
I remember they were running lead option, and the fullback was just crushing our guys on the outside. And I think it wasn't so much an injury. I think it was Jack getting upset about what was going on. Yeah.
So he looks around and all of a sudden, Burgess, get in there. And it's like, here's this skinny little freshman, and he's throwing him to the wolves there. Well, he got in there. He stuck his nose in there and played really well as a freshman. I think he came out more bruised and battered than he ever thought he would. But he proved to himself, hey, I can play this game. And from then on, I don't think he ever looked back. He was a running back for us, played in front of Joel Lebo, who was a 1,000-yard rusher. And a lot of that was because he took care of the inside linebacker on our power plays, and then played in the secondary for us. He's one of those guys that never came off the field.
Wow.
So, and, people, you have the right to criticize the coach because when you sign your name on the line, that's part of it too. But nobody can criticize him as a human being because, and I'm not just saying that because he played for me or is a Winamac guy. He is a true stand-up Christian man that knows right from wrong and tries to portray that and tries to help kids and young people understand that. So he's a true credit to the teaching profession is what he is, whether he's coaching or not. So,
and he bleeds maroon.
He bleeds maroon. That's right. And he listens to me when I got something to say. I don't know if he takes it in, but he's polite enough to listen. So I'm extremely proud of him. I think he's doing everything right. And I just keep telling him, I said, hey, keep doing the things right that you're doing, and the wins and losses will take care of themselves. You just got to, as Harold would say, you got to keep the faith and do what you're doing and continue to make it better.
Coach, I don't know if you ever had a chance, but all the years you coached, I know you've only been a head coach a few years, but you have been coaching a long time. Did you ever have a run-in with Tony the Boss Ross?
I can't think I ever did. I don't think he'd ever covered any of the games that I was coaching once I got back here to Winamac. Heard him on the radio several times, just, tuning in, different seasons, listening to different things. So, heard a lot of good things about him and, what he was all about. And then, like Coach Roth said, we're all in this for the kids and, trying to promote the kids and do the best we can. So I know he did that from what I've heard about him, and just really appreciate that.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in, and I said it the last 2 years. I hate goodbyes. This was a quick exit, but I sure do appreciate your time throughout the fall. Coming in each week, it means a lot, and we'll keep in contact, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say how much we appreciate what you guys do here, just getting the word out about our kids, letting us come in and talk about them and promoting them in the right way. Kids need that today, and I don't think sometimes they get it. So, again, can't be more thankful for what you guys do and what you do to help our program out.
Hey, no problem, Coach. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, that is head coach of the Winamac Warriors. It's Josh Burgess here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a quick break, come back. It's time for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athletes of the Week. Yes, our Athlete of the Week interview with Violeta Mendez we couldn't get last week, and then Berndt of this week. Hey, Culver Cab Nation, hang tight. Your salute to the champion segment with your girls volleyball team will be in the next hour, so stay tuned. We're going into OT today, baby. Stay tuned. It's the Saturday Sports Line.
The Eagles break the press. Not totally yet. They're still in the backcourt. Christensen with it. Now to Settlemeyer over to Thomas. They'll get across with a dribble past McLaughlin. Led to the corner. Farrell's open for three. Cooper Farrell knocks it down.
Memorial Hospital. Quality care closer to home. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is all about community and keeping our community spotlight shining on the accomplishments of our youth. That's why PMH is proud to be a sponsor of our local high school sports action on WKVI, our community radio station. Pulaski Memorial Hospital. Quality care closer to home.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
We are back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the longest running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line. It's time to transition to our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Last week, we were unable to get with Oregon Davis cross-country runner Violeta Mendez due to her being on vacation for fall break. I caught up with her this past week. Now, let's remind you, she is a freshman on this Oregon Davis Lady Cats cross-country team. She did such an amazing job at the Hoosier North Athletic Conference meet. She placed 7th overall as a freshman, while also shaving 2 minutes off her personal record. This is her first ever interview, and I think that opens my eyes a little bit. When we talk to these high schoolers, in most cases, they've never had an interview. Another amazing thing that Harold Welter had started all those years ago by preparing our youth for adulthood. It's been an honor to continue this tradition. So without further ado, here is our first interview of this segment with Violeta Mendez of Oregon Davis.
I am with our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, Violeta Mendez. My goodness, did she do such an amazing job at the Hoosier North Athletic Conference meet. She placed 7th overall as a freshman, shaving 2 minutes off her personal record. But then we've also found out since we've talked to you, or since we've had a chance to talk to you, Violeta, that you are going to regionals. And as a freshman, that is very, very impressive. What is it about the sport of cross country and running in general do you love?
I've done it since I was in 6th grade, and it's really fun. And I like running and just experiencing the sport itself.
I've learned that your brother runs with you. How much do you love running with your brother?
I ran with him for a week before sectionals, and he wanted to train with me so I could practice.
Did you have a goal of reaching regionals, or were you just out there trying to run your best effort? Is that what you were trying to do every time? Instead of focusing on trying to get to sectionals, you just wanted to run your best?
Yeah, I didn't actually think I would go to regionals.
And as a freshman, that is quite impressive. Would you mind telling me what your parents' names are?
My mom's Violeta Mendez and my dad's Alvaro Mendez.
And I'm sure they're a big support system for you. Talk about the love that you have for them.
They've taken me to... They allowed me to do cross-country for the years, and they're proud of me.
What's it like being an Oregon Davis Lady Cat? Are you proud to be an Oregon Davis Lady Cat?
Yeah.
Well, Violeta, I sure do appreciate your time today. Congratulations for being named one of our Tyler Roth WKVI Athletes of the Week.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate Violeta for her time, as we will now transition to our new Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, senior volleyball player from Culver community. It's Brynn Berndt. Brynn has done an amazing job for this Lady Cavs volleyball team right before they won their sectional championship last weekend. That's when we had named her our Athlete of the Week, right before they had gone on to win. So not only did she prove she was the Athlete of the Week, she went out and helped her team claim a sectional championship for the first time since 2011. Brynn helped lead her Lady Cavs to one of the best regular seasons in school history by going 24-5. She is on the verge of achieving 1,000 career kills. Without further ado, here's my sit-down interview with Culver Community Lady Cavalier, Brynn Berndt.
Okay, I am talking with our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. It's Culver Lady Cavalier, Brynn Berndt. Brynn, first off, congratulations on becoming sectional champions, but we had made this announcement about you before that evening had occurred. Let's talk about your love of volleyball. What is it?
Yeah, so I started playing from kindergarten. I think that's when my parents started our intramurals, as we call it, in elementary, and I think that's what started my love for it, just watching my mom grow up with it, and I've always just been around a volleyball. And then I think high school is when it really started, that was my one love, because I played basketball too as well, but it just started from freshman year, and that's when I knew.
Yeah, talk about this team. I mean, who are some of the other individuals we need to know about?
Yeah, so I'm just going to start off with my sister. She's our libero. She plays a huge key role as a freshman for us. And then we have our other 4 seniors. Ashley is our setter. And then Tyra King and Livia Overmeyer are our 2 middle hitters. And then we have Meredith Gordon as an outside.
What was something that happened this season that maybe early on in the season you thought, man, this team's pretty good? Was there ever a moment that you can remember?
Yeah, I think early on it would be our Triton tournament. That's when things really turned around for us and we won the whole thing. Mm-hmm. We kind of came in knowing that it was going to be a really tough tournament for us and definitely didn't expect to win the whole thing. But yeah, that definitely was our turning point in the year for us.
Yeah, Coach Berndt told us earlier on in the season one of the goals for this team was to become a sectional champion. You yourself now, what was your goal for this team coming in?
It was also that one, but I also wanted the Tri-Central tourney win. We won it last year, so I wanted to get that twice just because it was my last year. And I think those were the two main ones that we set out.
We also heard news this year you signed your letter of intent to continue playing volleyball at IU Kokomo. Yeah. What was behind that decision?
Definitely the years of club, and I decided that I wanted to be signed and ready because I was going to play basketball this year instead of doing club, so I just wanted to make that decision by the time basketball came around.
And are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited, yep.
But you have goals that you still need to finish here in high school first.
Yes, the job's definitely not done here.
Well, let's talk about regionals this coming weekend. We talked with Coach Berndt. You've seen Marquette before. It's not going to be the first time, so that's a bit of a help, I would think. Yeah. But heading into this regional matchup, is there anything that you think this team needs to maybe tighten up just a little bit?
Honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say no, just because we've been on our best game that we've been playing, and I don't want to take confidence away from the team. There's no reason to do that. We've made it this far. Why not keep going?
Might be a loaded question, but what are you most proud of at this time in your career playing volleyball?
I think just my perseverance. There's been times that I've just not wanted to play club-wise, and that's kind of affected my high school, so just going through it and never stopping my love for it.
Tell us your parents' names.
Andrea and Brett Berndt.
And talk about the support system they've been for you.
They're always there for me. Whatever opportunity I need, whether that's club or high school, they just make sure no matter where in the country it is, we go, and so anyone can see me.
Yeah, we've talked with your dad before, or I have, behind the scenes, and last spring he was telling me about the big trips they were getting ready to take this summer, and you're playing volleyball off-season in the summer, out of state. Do you think those types of things growing up helped you become the player you've become?
Absolutely. The competition is unreal there. You're playing girls that, D1, 6'5", they're huge. So, yeah, the competition level is just unreal.
What's it mean to Brynn Berndt to be a Culver Lady Cavalier?
It's definitely pride and community. I've always been a community person ever since, I was little, just having my dad here and everyone else. And just to see them come support me now is the biggest thing. It's just amazing.
We talked a little bit earlier about how loud it was this past weekend at sectionals. How honored are you to have a fan base like Culver, the community behind you?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge honor seeing everyone there for me. And teachers, parents, they were, I think that's the loudest I've ever heard that gym in my life. And just to know that it was for me and my team is just amazing. So I want to thank everyone that's there.
Well, Brynn, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations for being named one of our Tyler Roth WKVI Athletes of the Week.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate Brynn for her time. Also, big time shout out to both athletic directors, Oregon Davis's Aubrey Lady and Culver Cavaliers, Mike Zahner, for helping me set those interviews up this past week. As we are going to take a break and come back, more sports talk is on the way. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Line.
One of our hometown businesses here in our area in Monterey, it's LAP Waste.
Being able to recycle is one of our main goals at LAP Waste. Being able to say that we only take about 8% of our trash to the dump is pretty impressive for us, and we hope to keep building on that.
We service an 80-mile circle from Monterey. If you have a small job, big job, or just have a one-time, we are here to make a difference in this area.
And that phone number, Kirby?
574-542-4019.
Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Full house backfield. Here's the snap. Box gives a Cloco. He runs right side. Scampers in. Touchdown, Lions.
Touchdown, Bremen.
So Bremen gets on the board, and they're 1 point away from tying it up.
Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios, we continue the Saturday Sports Line. We are transitioning to the Culver Cavaliers. It's head coach Austin Foust. We've got him on the line. They beat the South Central Satellites last night, 44-15. Coach, you got to be pretty proud of your boys.
Yeah, no, we were, extremely proud with the way we played and, how we came out and, came out and just kind of attacked and had a lot of lot of good intensity, I thought, and I think we limited the mistakes and things that we did the week before, and we felt like if we could do that we have a good shot to be on the right side of the scoreboard.
You got things going early, Coach. That big-time run by Ethan Binion, almost, all the way to the red zone, but the Satellites were able to hold strong defensively after a big run like that, and then you get stopped down there in the red zone. What were the conversations on the sideline like?
Yeah, obviously Binion had he had a really good run, and South Central kid did a great job of not giving up on the play, and that's what we tell our kids. We never give up on a play, because just like that, kids save the touchdown and we don't come away with points. And it wasn't anything really conversation wise. I think our kids got some confidence for it. It was kind of more just me. I need to call a little bit better plays down there. I didn't really maybe like the sequence I did there, and so we kind of I kind of made a little bit of a couple adjustments on what they were given and what we probably need to attack. And our defense was they got a little bit of a drive going, but our defense was able to get a stop. And then finally we got back down there and were able to get a touchdown run from Jonas McEwen from about 2 yards out, kind of got word, and got us going. Then after that,
seemed like the McEwen to McEwen connection was in full force last night. It's something you guys have been talking about all season of getting going, and you finally did.
Yeah, they've kind of, we've kind of joked a little bit that Jonas doesn't like throwing to his brother, or can't get his brother a touchdown, and he had 2 against North Miami 2 weeks ago, and should have had one last week, got taken off the board because we had a penalty, and him and his brother, he's finally starting to look his brother's way, and we kind of threw not really a new formation. We just split David Hyde out a little bit wider, and so now you have over 1,000 yards combined with David and Caleb out there. They're both two good receivers to kind of try to isolate them, and both of them scored 2 touchdowns last night. Jones did a good job of finding both of them, and sometimes looked like South Central was keying on David a little bit more, so we were able to kind of sneak Caleb out in the middle of the field, and his brother was able to find him and give him a good ball. We all joke in practice that he throws really good balls to everybody but his brother.
Hey, Austin, it's great that all these guys are catching balls and scoring touchdowns, but how about the big uglies up front that are giving them time to throw those passes and make those receptions? How are they playing for you?
Yeah, we've done a really good job with our offensive line. With Coach Kyle Kling and Marcellus Anderson coming over, and Coach Reno Zahner and Justin Croy. We spent a lot of time. We've kind of been like, okay, we got a little bit better probably chance of throwing the ball than we do running, just because of the size-wise. And so we've really, worked on at practice with, our rollout game. And I thought last night our kids did a really good job. I thought Logan Caldwell, our left tackle, is a senior, and some of his reach blocks and things, and not only just reaching guys, but being aggressive and staying after it. And I thought Drake Zorch played really well at the left guard, and Shane Martin at center, and we had senior Robert Evans, and Skylar Greer and Isaiah Vela kind of switched some time a little bit. Skylar was a guy that, last year was his first year playing football, and he got some time last year at D-line, and just continued to develop and, turned himself into kind of a two-way starter for us this year as a junior.
So up front, have you changed the protection, the schemes and what you're doing there with throwing the ball all over the place and, like you say, with 5 wides, or is it basically the same stuff that you're doing as you have in the past, but you're just getting better at it?
It's been a little bit of both. Coach Anderson, he came, from UMass and Saginaw Valley, and said, hey, this is kind of roll protection. This is kind of how we did it. So we've let him have some input and change some things, and it seemed to work well for us. And Jonas is a kid that is just, he's a baseball kid that has got really good arm talent that can, throw the ball kind of really from any kind of position, and if he's off balance or base, and likes to roll out. So our rollout game's been a little bit different. Our drop back's been a little bit similar, but he's gained in confidence as the year went on, and he's starting to see what defenses are giving us and where we want to attack it. And I think it showed that last night. And I kind of joked with him and his brother that if on that first drive we dropped the 4th down touchdown pass on that first one, that right to his brother, hit him in the hands, that he could have had 3. Three receiving touchdowns. But I thought he did a really good job of just taking what the defense gave us.
Coach, another thing we wanted to bring up, and maybe Tim saw this a few weeks ago in that Winamac matchup, was our sideline reporter Justin Ruff had called out how he looks off the defender and then he throws the other way, almost kind of like Matt Stafford does. He's looking to the left and he's throwing right up the seam to his brother Caleb. That play happened last night. That is a pretty confident player when your eyes are looking one way and you're throwing the other way.
Yeah, he's definitely matured. I think a lot of it, comes from him playing safety, and understanding quarterbacks doing the same to him. Because I think it was the touchdown pass to start the fourth quarter to his brother. I said, hey, I think we can get your brother wide open in the end zone here. And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, coach. He goes, I'll just look right, and the linebackers will step this way, and he'll be wide open. So he, has that feel now of what it is, and he's definitely growing up. And the nice thing is too is he's only a junior, this is the development path and things that we wanted him to take. And he's definitely shown that. We got, I think, as far as stat wise, I wasn't exactly sure what he ended up with last night, but I think he's over 1,300 yards passing, and I think he's at anywhere from 13, 14 passing touchdowns. And David and Caleb are combined over 1,000 yards. I think both of them are over 500 yards receiving. So we got some nice weapons, and Binion's given us some good looks too as well, running the ball here lately. So hopefully we can keep that going in to next week.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, Coach, we kind of named it our Stark County. Well, we didn't kind of. We did name it our Stark County Co-op play of the game, but it was kind of a dual play moment. You guys get that big-time touchdown, and then on the kickoff, you decide to do the onside kick, whereas last week it didn't go 10 yards. This week it did. What was the deciding factor in that moment to say, hey, we want the ball back, we're going to do an onside kick?
Yeah. Well, let's start out with I agree with you on probably one of the game-changing plays, if it not was, because South Central took a nice drive and, scored. I think it was, 14-8 or something like that, our point.
Yeah.
You could kind of see a little bit our kids hang their head, and, they kick off, and senior Tony Summers, he's got speed and he's got athleticism, and, he made a play and went 85 yards for a touchdown. And I think you could definitely see with how long we celebrated in the end zone, where it was kind of like a sigh of relief kind of thing, and that's what we always talk about. Don't be the guy wait to make a play, just go make a play, and that's what Tony did. And I'm not too proud to admit this, but yeah, the onside kick, really the decision to decide that was David Height decided it.
Oh wow!
We had talked about kind of if they gave us a look and things like that, what we like, and he's done that in practice, but not to where, you feel like if you do it 5 times, maybe 1 out of 5 times he does it kind of thing. And, he saw the look that we had kind of looked at, and, he went for it and made a heck of a kick, made a heck of a play, and kind of looked at me as he, came from the bottom of the pile and said, bet you didn't think I could do that. And I said, no, and you're lucky you got it. Don't do it again, kind of thing. And
wow.
But it was a huge play. Huge play for us, obviously, to really kind of turn the tide, and we end up scoring on that drive too as well. And one of the things we kind of preached all year long is execution and things like that. And you go back and look at the film, 3 out of our 4 touchdown passes were on 4th downs. So just having our kids being able to make plays when we really needed it, and that's something we preached all year long, and I felt like we really got it. I think it kind of started with our seniors and trickled down to everybody else.
Well, that changes my whole perspective of how that play went down, Coach. I thought this whole time that was the plan. I mean, when you talk about creativity as a head coach, I'm sure you don't mind players going with creative ideas, but at some point, do you have to kind of pull the reins back?
Yeah, so at some point he knows. He knew that he wasn't going to do it again. In the other regards too, sometimes with our kickoff, right? I'm sure I had would do a different reaction had we not get it, but with who they had back there, number 85. He 2 weeks in a row he took a long kickoff on us. So really at a point, what we kind of talked about too, an onside kick sometimes is, just about the same field position we were giving up in some regards. And, but that was kind of the look we had talked about, and we had worked on it all week. And, he saw the look and was able to recover it. And, I think some of it obviously is David being confident as a player now that he's, played 10 games as a high school football player. And, again, you want kids that want to have that confidence and make plays and stuff. And, again, it's one of those where, you're lucky it worked out kind of thing for you. But, him and I will have probably a little more of a chat Monday on, what we're looking for exactly. But, no, again, you don't want to pull back far as kids where they feel like they can't have that confidence kind of thing.
Well, Coach, we move forward. You get to stay home for round 2 of this Sectional 41. The North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays are coming to town. You faced them earlier on in the season, but I talked with head coach Brett Lambert earlier last hour, or 2 hours ago. When we talked to him, I said, this Cavs team is a completely different team than we saw there on September 20th. I feel like you'd have to agree.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, Judson's, they're probably a completely different team too. And I mean, they have their goals and they have their sights, set well past us right now. And, our biggest thing and what we're going to talk to our kids is, here was what the score was, 70-0, and that's what we're playing against. Are we better than what we showed, in September? Obviously, I told our kids, and as Coach Roth knows from years of being in it, when you're playing games in November, that means something. That's a big deal to play games in November, and we get to play on November 1st, and we get to host a really good football team again, and we're going to go out and give everything we got, and hopefully we're playing our best football, and hopefully make a little magic happen.
Yeah, Austin, and I think there's a T-shirt that a lot of football coaches wear this time of year, at least back in the old days, and the T-shirt's got a picture of the world in the shape of a football, and it says, "Our world ain't round, and anything is possible." And as far as what your team's going to experience, you need to take the positives from what you got out of that first meeting and build on those this week. And I know I always use the David and Goliath approach that, hey, it only takes one good shot and down he goes. But you just got to play 48 minutes of hopefully penalty and error-free football, and that'll give you a chance, at least a chance, and that's all you can ask for, to come out on top in this game. Is North Judson bigger and stronger than you? Probably. Are they faster than you? They might be. Who knows? But I'm sure you've found, if there are any weak spots, you found those weak spots in their lineup, and we'll probably attack those. So you just got to preach this week to your kids to take it one play at a time, one series at a time, one quarter at a time, one half at a time, and before you know it, the ball game's over, and maybe you sneak in and get a win.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, that's what we're, going to preach to the kids, and, not get too high, not get too low, and just stay even keel and just keep, we always talk about them, being one round fights, one play fights, every play, try to win that play. If you don't, get back up and do it again. And, one of the things that we kind of talked about to our kids is, we have nothing to lose. We're playing with house money. Obviously, with as good as a team, that Coach Lambert has, in Judson and what they've done this year. And, what we've kind of preached to our kids is, if we make a play, they're going to get a little bit tighter. If we make another play, they're going to tighten up a little bit because that's not supposed to happen.
Exactly.
And that's what we're preaching to our kids. And hopefully again, I don't feel like we've gotten worse since that first meeting. I think we've gotten better. And again, that's what we've kind of talked about as a coaching staff. We're playing against that, what that first score was and try to see where we are. How much better we've gotten. And again, you've seen some wild things happen, over time in high school football. And again, we're going to leave it all out there on the field and, see where we stack up. And, again, hopefully it's with another W and, but for our kids to, again, kind of 2 years in a row, just incredibly proud of our fight and resilience of, last year, we didn't get a win until week 10. This year was week 1. And, for kids to want to keep playing and not not hang it up, because it's really easy to see Judson hanging out there in round 2 and think to yourself, is it worth winning, kind of thing. And incredibly proud of our guys for how they played, and finally maybe felt like we got that kind of total game we've been looking for, and hopefully we can keep putting it together.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate your time this morning. Congratulations on the win over the South Central Satellites, your rival, 44-15 last night. Good luck this week in preparation for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you guys do. And
yes. One thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm sorry I forgot. You spoke with Tony every morning on Saturday before you spoke with us, because he had his Saturday morning coaches show, and I know you had a relationship with Tony the Boss Ross. Take a few moments.
Yeah, no, Tony's been he was incredibly positive with me as a first-year head coach at John Glenn. We talked every Saturday morning there, and he covered some of our games and would come out and practice. And I was a 23, 24-year-old kid. I didn't really know who Tony was, and everybody just called him the boss, right? And he comes out here, and he just had that infectious personality where as soon as you met him, you just felt like you've been friends for forever, kind of thing. And just always felt like he was one of the number one guys kind of in my corner, and all the kind words he shared and everything on a Saturday. And sadly he's gone too soon. And as a Culver community, just in general, everything he's covered over the years, and he's got a lot of our former coaches or even our admin that had really close relationships with Tony, that we were obviously incredibly saddened to hear what happened. And our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and you guys as an organization and everything that he stood for. He was just one of those guys that kids were first, and he promoted our area sports, which is something that I kind of feel like we have that's special out anywhere in the state. That the coverage that you guys have done, it's just been truly remarkable to kind of be a part of that.
Well, Coach, we move on, and it's going to be tough, but I sure do appreciate you coming on here and talking to us. Good win last night against South Central.
Yeah, we thank you guys for the coverage, and Coach Roth, good talking to you as always. And hopefully Cavalier Nation is getting ready here about an hour and a half to go watch our girls at home go get a regional title against Marquette Catholic today.
Good luck to both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then while we have Cav Nation on the air, or while we're talking about Cav Nation on the air here, stay tuned. We're going to talk with South Central Satellite head coach Buzz Schoff next. But then after that, that is our Salute to the Champions segment, where we talk with head coach Andrea Berndt and the seniors on that girls volleyball team Coach Foust just mentioned. Coach, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, that is head coach of the Culver Cavaliers, Austin Foust, here on the Saturday Sports Line. This next highlight is really special for me. It was the first time I ever did a ball game with Tony. I wasn't scheduled to. I actually was just there to observe, and I can't believe I found this clip. It's all the way back from April 9th of 2014. He told me to throw the headset on, and you'll hear it here. It's a very touching moment, something I'll never forget. And, man, we lost a good one in Tony Ross.
By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody...
Mitch Columby is joining us. Put on that headset, Mitch. Say hi to everybody in radio land there, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, Tony? Doing all right.
Now, Mitch, you have been a sports guy for what college did you go to?
Vincennes University.
Vincennes, and the games you did was?
I did a lot of basketball, some baseball, but, all sports I'm real interested in. Anything to do with sports, give me a mic, I'm ready to go.
All right, well, you ready to have a little fun?
Let's do it.
All right, well, join me for this. Join me for the next inning. How about that?
How's that? That sounds good. Good. I appreciate it.
Blake Millizer, who singled to left field, stands in. The first offering to him is a breaking ball in and over for a strike. Blake has one of the two hits for Plymouth in today's game.
Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder wall.
One of our hometown renowned businesses here in our area in Monterey. It's LAP Waste.
Being able to recycle is one of our main goals at LAP Waste. Being able to say that we only take about 8% of our trash to the dump is pretty impressive for us, and we hope to keep building on that.
We service an 80-mile circle from Monterey. If you have a small job, big job, or just have a one-time, we are here to make a difference in this area.
And that phone number, Kirby?
574-542-4019.
It's time for more Kankakee Valley area sports talk worldwide on K99.3 FM and WKVI.com.
1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out. Here in the bottom of the first. LaVille leading 1-0. The pitch. Fastball rocketed into right field, and that'll be a base hit. And then it gets by the right fielder, Russ. Shively takes a big round second. He's headed to third. The relay throw is going to be late, and it's going to be a triple because the right fielder never touched it. Did he, Rusty?
Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. I had to play that highlight there one more time, just hearing him toss it to Rusty Nixon. Man, what a great duo that was. Of course, Tony was on the call a lot with Marc Hayden, Scott Masters over the years. Man, what a great team that was on Max 98.3 FM WYMR. Just really tough right now. We're hanging in there. We're making the best of it. We've got Tim Roth with us, and we appreciate him being here. It really means a lot. But we're also talking about the South Central Satellites. They unfortunately finished their season last night, falling to the Culver Cavs 44-15. While the Satellites took care of business last week against the Cavs on senior night, it just didn't go their way last night. Coach Schoff, what'd you think about last night? What'd you think?
Well, I mean, that's nobody's going to look at that and be be surprised. You have a game like we had last week, and we come out 30-22. That gives Culver a little chip on their shoulder, right? They both you think one got away from you there, and last night obviously the worst situation we could be in is 4th and 15. A lot of teams, think 4th and 15, you're doing something good. Well, they had 22 points on 4th and 15. So, it was just a bad situation. Anytime we got a drive going, we ended up getting a penalty, either a holding call, illegal chop block, a block in the back, a face mask, something like that would bring us back and put us behind the chains, and we just couldn't claw ourselves way back. And something that sticks out to me when Austin was just talking there, that the player called the onside kick. Well, I mean, that kind of hurts my feelings, because that was where my mindset was at.
What were they doing? Yeah.
In a game like a Culver South Central game, they go down, they score, and all the momentum's on their side right now. And that's the perfect opportunity to onside kick it, because if they kick it off to us, we're probably going to return it to at least the 35. Well, what's the difference really in the 35 to the 50 in this kind of ball game?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you get it, everything is going your way. And if you don't, well, you just turn around and you just play defense like you normally would. So, I told our coaches on the headset, I said, I'd onside kick it right now. And
you did say that.
They did.
And they did.
But it wasn't the coach's call.
But it wasn't the coach.
It was David Height.
It was the kids' call. But I guess I've been hanging around with high school kids too long. I start thinking like them. But
the coach all week long said, look for this.
Yep.
And if that happens, he'd give the kid, his green light or whatever you want to call it to do that. Obviously, the kid was just doing what he was coached to do.
Yeah, traditionally you don't see it on special teams, but you give your quarterback, hey, if you see this is what I'm like, check to this. We call it an audible on offense.
Yeah.
On special teams, we ask, why did you let him?
Exactly.
You're okay with it offensively, but it's a great play, right? I mean that changes the game.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen if they kick it off to us, if we drive down and score and continue and make this a football game. But them recovering that right there, they go down and score. Now they're up 2 scores, and now we're playing behind the 8 ball. Their defense is playing tough, and we can't. We get them down in 4th down, and we just can't make a play when it matters. So everything was going their way. It's a fantastic play call. I mean, get that kid a headset when he graduates. Cause, So it's just one of those things where you wish it goes the other way, but you know what you're going to get, and hats off to them, right? You come back and you find a way to win, and we turned the ball over, we had penalties, and we just couldn't stop the big play. And you're not going to win football games at any caliber doing those 3 things. So.
Exactly.
Last night, just a test of that.
I'm going off my memory, and I haven't seen the play on the video of that onside kick. But, if we rewind last week, the ball didn't go 10 yards on that onside kick. And remember, you had said, we got to remember, we don't need to touch it. If it doesn't go 10 yards, it's your ball automatically. Well, then last night it does go 10 yards, and it felt like there was a little hesitation on should we touch it, should we not? It just felt like that in the moment. I haven't seen the clip. I don't know if I'm truthful in saying that.
Yeah, so, if you show us an onside kick the week before, last week, the ball was dribbling to get to 5 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all.
It was not even close. Last night is a true onside kick.
Right
now,
on it.
As a true onside kick, I want my front line guys, I want you to field that at 9. Don't even let it get to 10 because it's going to get to 10.
Just take it.
Come up and field it at 9 and take that one last big bounce away from it. So, last night it seemed like they were anticipating the big bounce, and it just never came. And, we should have, our kids kind of drove on it a little bit, but they were anticipating the big bounce.
Right.
Because I think it caught them off guard, even though I just told you they're going to onside kick it. But, they were waiting for the big bounce, and the kid just kind of came underneath it and just scooped it with one hand. So, again, a play like that, right? You got to execute, and they were able to do it. So, it wasn't anything. Our kids were like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. They were taught to drive on that ball because I got a team. Because last week they onside kicked it with no rhyme or reason why. It was just kind of like a momentum kind of situation. So, if that's what you're going to do, then we need to anticipate on a momentum shift kind of change that you may come out and onside kick it. And we were prepared for it. We worked on it, but we just weren't able to execute the one time you had to execute it.
Well, and with your front, I'm sure, having seen it the week before, I'm sure every time they come out and line up in that, they're just a little bit tighter and a little bit less flexible as far as, is that ball going to go over my head or is it going to be in front of me and I got to get on it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I always kind of joke that, everybody knows how to field an onside kick unless you're one of those 5 guys.
Good point.
Everybody thinks it's easy until you got to do it, right? I mean, it's one of those situations where, and you're traditionally, on a regular kickoff formation, you don't got your wide receivers up there, you don't got your running backs up there, you got defensive linemen,
blockers,
type guys up there, and it's a hard thing to do because like Russ said earlier, the ball that we play with is not designed to bounce in a certain way. Yeah. It's just gonna go wherever it goes. And when you're looking at an onside kick, you're like, okay, I gotta get it. I didn't get it.
And that happens a lot of times.
And that happens a lot. It's an effective play. If you got a kicker that can do it, I mean, there's high schools across the country that's all they do. Because if you got a kicker that can do it, your percentages of getting it are pretty high. Especially if you're gonna, if your coverage is not very good and they're gonna get the ball at the 40-yard line anyway. Well, let's just try to get the ball anyway. Yeah. So, it's one of those things where, I wish the NFL didn't make their rules where it has to be in the last 2 minutes and you have to tell the other team you're doing it, because that takes away the surprise of it,
yes,
and the effectiveness of it.
Yeah. One thing we talked about last night before we went on the air, I was talking with Coach, is he said, I like being in white jerseys. We look bigger, we look taller. You laughed. Do you agree?
Oh, well, I never looked at it that way, but yeah, I could see where that could be a possibility.
I got that from when I was playing at LaPorte, when I coached at LaPorte. When Valpo would come to town, they would have white pants, white jerseys, and Valpo is traditionally a big. They got big kids, and they put those all whites on, and it's like, why is this kid 7 foot tall? I don't know what it is. It just elongates your body, and you just look bigger. You know, when you look at our kids at home in the all reds with the blue helmet, it's like, yeah, this kid looks like he's 145 pounds. You know, you put him in the white jersey, it's like, bigger. Are you sure that kid weighs 145 pounds? Yeah, he might be 150 now.
Yeah. Well, I know it didn't go the way you wanted it to, but I wanted to give the opportunity. You had a lot of seniors on this team, 12 if I'm not mistaken, and I think you've talked to us about before. Not all of them get a lot of time, but you did fit them in where you could. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about those 12 seniors.
Yeah, so there's quite a few of them. You know, we lose the Bashinsky brothers, who have been 4-year players for us, Ben and Brad. Ben obviously got a few seasons cut short due to injuries, but Brad's been our kind of number one receiver as far as targets to him. Just a guy that can find the open space and I don't know if he's a 4-year starter as a safety for us, but he's at least a 3-year starter. So obviously those two, you know, have been those kind of quiet leaders that kind of kids look up to. And then obviously a kid like Clayton Strow, who has played every position that a football team can offer in his 4 years. You know, just a kid that will do anything you ask of him, just, you know, and never have any complaint or anything. Just a kid that's hard to replace as far as high school football goes, as far as attitude and ability. And then we got Cole Freeman, who played linebacker for the first time this year, was an offensive lineman in years prior. Another kid who you know, is just going to go 100 miles an hour 100% of the time. A kid that you got to kind of say, hey, you know, ease off a little bit. Like, you know, we don't need to kill everybody all the time. You know, in practice, he's smacking kids around, and, you know, he's kind of that guy that he'll yell at you for anything. You know, coach, you're on the wrong side. You know, sorry, son. Like, I'll stand where I want. But you know, just a fun kid to be around. Colt Snyder, he's been our left tackle for 3 years, defensive end for the past 2. You know, a big body, a kid that doesn't really come around South Central too often. You know, we don't see the 6'2", 220s. We don't see the 6'3", 240s. We don't see very many of those kids. So obviously, you know, a kid that works out well for us. Anthony Remkes, you know, he's the big guy in the middle.
And he's got fast hands.
And he's getting, you know, he's getting quicker. You know, that was as a freshman, you know, we kind of said, like, hey man, you got to have quick twitch. You know, we know you ain't gonna run a mile, but can you move 3 yards? And obviously he's got a lot better at that as years have gone on. And then you got Connor Elliott, another defensive tackle, a kid that really is, you know, underestimated himself at times. You know, he doesn't realize how good he could be a lot of the time. You'll see him do something that's like, where did that come from? And you ask him about it, and he goes, what I do.
Yeah.
You know, just a kid that you know, you don't know if he's listening to you, but then when he starts playing, he's like, oh yeah, he figured it out. He knew what I was talking about. And then Carter Holmquist, obviously, the big guy on the outside that you know, just makes plays when there's a play to be made. You know, I know that he's real disappointed about his performance last night. But you know, I told him after I think Culver's second score last night, I said, hey big fella, I need you. Yeah, you can't worry about that. I need you to play 4 quarters of this football game. And, you know, just a kid that, you know, just that little bit of, you know, show of confidence in him can turn that kid around. So, you know, and then a couple first timers out. Blaine Brooks, a kid who just comes out his senior year, hears about the fun that we have out there, right? If the word's getting around, you're having fun at football practice, I guess we're doing something right. Especially when the record doesn't really show a whole lot of fun. But he comes out and tells me last night, this is the best school year I've had so far. I'm like, well, let's keep it up. Try out for the basketball team. Try out for the baseball team. See what else you can do. Yeah. Right? We're just making memories for kids, right? Tommaso, the kicker, I believe he's from Italy. I hope he's from Italy. Just a kid that comes out. His host parents. One of them's an SRO for us. So he says, hey, he wants to try to kick. I go, well, can he kick? I think so. Okay. Well, and obviously he can. An
extra point last night.
Extra point. Yeah. Listen. He's a senior too, right? He gets his moment. So he had that touchback, the first kickoff, and then he had an extra point last night. Was injured towards the middle of the season, ended up separating his shoulder against North Judson, and we finally were able to get him back last week. So good to see that. A kid that, stuck with it, right? It's easy for a kid who's, not even from here, get hurt and just say, well, I just don't want to do this anymore. Comes back out and we have a good time with him. And then Braden Williamson, he played a lot of offensive line for us. Really just a baseball player. With Berndt Jones being our baseball coach and an assistant football coach, he was able to kind of talk him into it. Just a big-bodied kid, like give it a shot, and obviously was able to start on the offensive line for us. So able to fill a spot that we had questions about going in, and it was nice to see him out there. And then the last one, well, not the last one, but another newcomer, Gavin Simetz, just a kid that wanted to come out and play, and didn't see a whole lot of playing time, but showed up, did the work, did everything you asked of him. Took his shoulder pads off at halftime, went and played his trombone, whatever he played.
He was in the marching band.
But hey, I got no problem with that, right?
Yeah.
And those kind of kids get more out of football than they give back. To football.
Right.
And you may not realize it, but you've had an influence on that kid to where he's going to remember this for the rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to make sure that we make you a better person. We give you something to remember, and that it's not all just, man, I wish I never done that. Right. Hopefully you never have a kid that says that to you. And then I got three more that I'd like to mention. One of our most important seniors, Natalia Mendoza. The manager, right? Nobody realizes how much they do, but if there ain't no water out there, everybody notices it. If you don't have a towel on the sideline on Friday night, everybody notices it. So obviously those are hard shoes to fill, and this was her first year doing it, but just kind of took the reins, and the younger ones who have been with us for a while taught her quick, and she was right there in the middle of it. She was holding the water right behind our DB wide receiver drills, and just kind of not worried about being in the way. Just I'm here for you guys. Yeah. Just the type of kid. And then the last two that I'd like to mention just quickly is the two that were cut short with Colton Davis. Obviously a kid that we lost back when they were in 7th grade, but just a kid that has impacted my life, just knowing him the short time that I known him. He was our ball boy back then. His dad was an assistant coach back then, and we'd always put it on him that he had to make an extra point or the kids were going to do conditioning. So it's just a fun little memory of a young kid, a 7th grader, just coming in the coach's office. Those are fun times. When you're talking to little kids about adult things, and they're just sitting there just taking it all in, and just sad that his life was taken too short, but we were glad that we had him when we had him, and the impact that he has made on these seniors' lives. Obviously, a good friend of theirs, and then last year we lost Marc Stoyer, another kid in this class that going into the season, I really thought like, okay, this is going to be that young man's year. He's gonna have a breakout year this year, and obviously wasn't able to have that opportunity. God had a different plan, but those two obviously are always in our minds. They're always in our thoughts, and I don't mean to be a downer at the end of this thing, but we're celebrating life today, so we might as well celebrate everybody. So I just wanted to bring those two up, just because they are part of our senior group, and they'll always be part of South Central football's history. So and
you know what? It was better to have them involved in the short time that you did, rather than never have them at all. Exactly. Nobody's memory is ever not enough. You're glad that you have the time with people that you have the time with. You never know the impact they have on your life until you reflect back on it. And obviously, I did not know Tony. I don't think I've ever met Tony. If it was just me being nosy, just because maybe he was working a South Central Triton basketball game or a John Glenn South Central girls basketball game or a baseball game or softball game, and maybe it was just me being nosy of oh, you're the radio guy, okay. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I love this stuff. I love that there's two radio stations that care enough to come and do our games, right? At LaPorte's got their radio station that covers all their games, and I always thought that was neat, even though I never got to talk to them about anything. But the fact that you guys juggle so many teams. Football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. It's like, man, this is a full-time gig, and I'm sure you're paid just like the rest of us. A nickel for the hour, but it's just amazing that and like a guy like Tony, it's you hear all the stories from all the coaches that have interactions with him, and you're like, man, I wish I would have got to meet that guy, because he would have been a guy that I would have probably got along with. I mean, I get along with just about everybody. I got that personality that you either love me or you hate me.
He'd have loved you. He'd have loved you.
But
and you'd have loved him.
It just sounds like a guy that we could sit and talk for an hour and a half about absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
If there's somebody standing behind us, like, what are these guys talking about? But they're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I was driving in this morning, just the short memory I have of Tony, right? It just happened this morning, and you played a clip. It had nothing to do with anything. It was a basketball game. It was an inbound pass commentary, right? And I got chills, like, because I love listening. I can't watch basketball because I don't know what's happening, but I love a good commentator on the radio. Just puts you in the moment, like you have the ball, and that's the feel that I got just listening to that clip this morning.
Yeah.
So I mean, I sounds like a great guy. Sounds like somebody that would be somebody that I could hang out with, that I could sit on the radio station and go overtime every Saturday morning with. Obviously, you play a clip the first time, you met him, right? And not to call you out or anything, but you get emotional on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's an impact that, I just hope that I have that impact on somebody, right?
Yeah.
Just if it's one person, I just hope when I'm all said and done that somebody remembers me and that it makes them think like, man, I just wish I had one more moment with that man. So it's just one of those things.
You were supposed to be on the air normally an hour ago, so I appreciate you understanding and all of our coaches understanding. We kind of changed things up today and going into overtime to honor Tony. Amazing words. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Mitch.
Well, that is head coach Buzz Schoff. Hey, appreciate you coming in each Saturday. I know it's tough dealing with some of the losses and stuff, but you always come in here and you always promote the kids, Buzz, and it means a lot. And that's what Tony was about, promoting the kids, and that's what you are about, Coach. And it means a lot that you come in to do that. I know the season didn't end the way you wanted it to, but it won't be the last time we talk.
Absolutely not. This is why I got into the profession to begin with. Not to sit in this seat, but to be a football coach. Right? Yeah. I didn't know where that path was going to take me, but it took me to South Central, and I'll be the head coach as long as they'll have me. Like I told Harold after the first year, because I came in as a open door back then, and I told him, I said, I'll be South Central's head coach as long as they'll have me, and haven't got too many complaints yet, but I told our superintendent, Ben, who's a good friend of mine, obviously, colleague of mine. I work right across the hall from him. I told him last night, I said, man, we need to get a new football coach because this kid can't win. And he just looked at me and go, nope. So I appreciate everything you guys do. I mean, I love it. I absolutely do. It takes a little time, it takes a little effort, but it's all worth it, right? Our kids would get very little publicity if it wasn't for WKVI. And it gets their name out there, and you have no idea the impact you're making on kids, right? They love hearing their name on the radio station. My kids think it's hilarious that I come on the radio every Saturday morning, and they don't get that I'm small town famous, kids.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm making a name for you, and you just got to live on the legacy. But it's just a wonderful time.
I'm glad somebody else thinks that way, because I have twin granddaughters who are now freshmen at Zionsville Community High School. When they were little, I was still coaching, and my daughter and her husband and the kids would come back for Grandpa's games. And one of them one time goes, and being twins and being cute little boogers like they were, the fans would kind of tease them or all over them or whatever. And one of the twins, when they were about 4 years old, it was before they were in school, they go, Grandma, is Grandpa like a TV star? And Grandma goes, no, he's just a football coach. And they go, well, they treat us like we're celebrities. And Grandma goes, no, you're just Grandpa's the football coach's granddaughters, but people tend to look at football families a little different once in a while, and they go, well, we sure think they treat us like superstars. And I told my wife, I said, well, thank God we were winning that year, because if it was the other way around, they'd probably think we were, looking up to dirt or whatever.
Yeah. So. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it all season long. I hate goodbyes, but we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely. I'll see you around, Mitch.
Yes, sir. That is head coach of the South Central Satellites, Buzz Schoff, here on the Saturday Sports Line. You better buckle up. We still got 40 minutes to go, folks. We got a 20-minute interview with the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball squad, as well as their head coach, Andrea Berndt. That's the Salute to the Sectional Champion segment up next. Then we will have our Where Are They Now segment, where we have an interview with Tony Ross that aired in April of 2023 after he won that prestigious award at the Gritties, the Excellence in Football Media. That's all coming up. We are going into Hour 3, the longest Saturday sports line in the history of WKVI. I think I can confidently say that. Don't go anywhere. More to come.
Well, let's go downstairs to Mitch Columbi, who is standing by. Mitch, you warm down there, babe?
Hey, thanks for asking, guys, while you're inside the toasty warm booth. I appreciate that.
Hey, now, wait a minute. I'm going to be outside. In order to make room for my fellow colleagues up here, I got to go and do the play-by-play out here. That's why I may sound a little different because I'm using my wireless headsets.
So you're telling me we're having to rough it while these guys sit in and enjoy the game, huh?
And they enjoy chili, too.
Hey, I'm in front of the window. Scott's got a low profile, so he's not getting any wind. So I'm taking all of the brunt of this. I'm keeping him warm.
That's not what it is.
You keep the talent warm and happy. That's all I have to say.
Geez.
Well,
it's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Now let's return to more of the Saturday Sports Line with WKVI Sports Director Mitch Columbi.
Well, we are saluting a sectional champion in our area. It is the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball squad. Had a chance to catch up with the seniors on that team. I also chatted with head coach Andrea Berndt as they became sectional champions for the first time since 2011. They have a big-time game tonight. It's regionals against Marquette Catholic. Cav Nation, you better show up loud and proud like you did last weekend. They need you. But let's go ahead and hear what head coach Andrea Berndt had to say, as well as all of the seniors on this Lady Cav volleyball team.
I'm talking with head coach of the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball team. They are sectional champions, and we are saluting them today. I have head coach Andrea Berndt. Coach, let's talk about this team. We caught up earlier on in the season. We kind of had an idea that this could happen. I know it was a goal you had set for the team and the goal that the team had set themselves, and then we had other coaches that we had brought on the show. They had said high praises for this team. You got the job done. Talk about how exciting this past weekend was, knowing not only you beat your cross-county rival, but you are a sectional champion.
We are. Thank you so much. This is a feeling that the girls are not ever going to forget. Us coaches, the community is not ever going to forget. We look back on the wall, and there hasn't been a sectional championship for volleyball since 2011. Before that, it was 1996 and 1997. So talk about a little bit of history there. I mean, it's huge for us. It's huge for our community. It's huge for these girls who've grown up together since kindergarten. Most all of them have. They've put the work in year after year, and it just is an amazing feeling. All the way from kindergarten to that fire truck ride around town, and to see the people who followed us and the people who came out was just a tremendous amount of love for the community. Yeah.
One thing that I think is really cool, Coach, you get to coach your daughter, but on top of that, it feels like they're all your daughters. It feels like a family out there. Would you agree?
I do, and that's something that they asked us about on senior night, is that, yes, my daughter is playing, and I'm going to say daughters because I have a senior and a freshman, but they all are my kids, and I really feel like that, especially having my own kids play. The other kids grow up in our house, and they grow up around us, so, it's not just volleyball. It's they know me as a mom. They know me as a coach. I know them as my kids' friends, and I know them as my athletes too. So there's different roles that we all play, and I think we all understand that, and we all respect each other's different role too.
It feels like you're kind of building a culture here. This just isn't a spectacular year out of nowhere. It feels like this is kind of some expectations you're setting for the years ahead as well.
It is, and like I said, we keep going back to these senior girls in their their kindergarten year. So 13 years in the making is what we have done. We started them when they were in kindergarten, and that goes for the juniors. They started when they were in kindergarten. The sophomores, the freshmen, all started when they were in kindergarten, so they've all had years and years. We finally have girls playing club, which I think makes a huge difference. That can be hard, club being multi-sport athletes as well, but we have done some major work for at least 13 years. Foundations have been laid before us with Amanda Minnick. She coached for 17 years, and she's back on our roster helping us. Stephanie Spillner, coach, Michael Skiles' coach. They all have been tremendous help to me. Some of it X's and O's, and some of it just my personal help.
We talked earlier on in the season about several of the individuals on this team that really provide good minutes, as I would call it, I guess, or good sets, as you would call it. Who really provided that extra spark, or maybe several, this past weekend to get you over the hump and get that sectional championship you've been waiting since 2011 for?
You know, we have 5 seniors that play, and out of those 5 seniors, 3 of them play 6 rotations. The other 2 play 3.5 rotations with serving. All of those seniors, every time they step on the court, making a huge difference. You always talk about seniors. Seniors need to be leading, and with us having 5 of them on the court, they just have made a tremendous difference in what we're able to do. Gracie Milam steps in for us as a junior. Hayden Lute steps in as a junior. They both play some big minutes for us as well. And then we have Ashlyn Berndt, that is a libero, that steps in and plays some big minutes. And they all are clicking. They click off the court. They click on the court. They know when it's game time and when to get going.
Yeah, we heard how exciting it was. Paul Dunn reached out to me this past weekend. He said he about had a heart attack watching that sectional championship game. I mean, I can only imagine what you're going through emotion-wise on the sidelines. But to get it done in that fashion, it almost makes it that much sweeter.
It does, and there were a lot of emotions. I give the girls so much praise because winning the first 2 sets against Triton, which is a very, very good team, winning the first 2 sets and then losing the second 2 sets and going into that 5th set that is mental toughness right there, and it's putting all of our fundamentals to work. We pulled them in the locker room after our 4th set, going into our 5th set, just to get them out of the atmosphere. To get their nerves settled, because it's a heightened game. So get them out of that, get them back into the locker room, and just to refocus them and get them back out. And we came back out. The crowd stood up and cheered, and they were there ready and willing to go for us.
And then, of course, we wanted to also mention our Athlete of the Week. Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is Brynn Berndt. I know you don't want to talk about your daughter too much, but, in the sense of her accomplishments, I'm sure as a mother you have to be proud.
As a mother, I am extremely proud. As a coach, I'm extremely proud. Some of that gets a gray area right there. Right. But Brynn has put in the work off the court in the summer. She is a fantastic player, approaching 1,000 kills. She's just done a phenomenal job. And as a mom, we couldn't be more proud. As a coach, I couldn't be more proud of her. And I hope that she is proud of herself because she's done it.
Let's talk about regionals. All signs to this weekend. What have you been doing in preparation? Is there anything that you've had to change up? Anything that you're kind of in the back of your mind? You're like, hey, girls, we need to get a little bit better at this week.
So I'm going to say I have talked to my previous coach from Rochester. So I was a Rochester grad, a Zebra. And I've talked to Katie Felke quite a bit. One of her biggest pieces of advice is, and she texted me, that just Culver doesn't have to change. We still have to be Culver, even though we have a new opponent, even though it's regionals, is that we just look at the next opponent. Yes, it's regionals, but we have another opponent, and Culver still has to be Culver. We don't need to change to win. We just need to be us and be authentic to who we are. When we look at Marquette is a team that we have had in our sectionals the past 2 years, so they have been on our roster. So we are familiar with them. We have some film of them. Again, we're just preparing to strengthen things that we do and then hit practice and work on our weaknesses.
What would be your message to Cavalier Nation in hopes they get out this weekend to support your Lady Cavs?
So we would love to see the community come back out again. We had an amazing fan base last week, and we'd love to see it again. We play at home. We play at 1 o'clock. It's going to be blackout. We'd love to see people packing the gym.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate your time. Congratulations on a sectional championship, first since 2011. Just an amazing accomplishment, and we look forward to chatting with some of the players as well as Brynn here in a little bit. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now we quickly transition to my interview with the seniors.
All right, we are here to salute the 2024 sectional champions. It's the Culver Lady Cavaliers Volleyball Club. We've got our seniors with us. Tell us who you are.
I'm Livy Overmeyer. I'm a senior, and I'm number 25.
I'm Tyra King, number 20, and I'm a senior.
I'm Brynn Berndt. I'm a senior, and I'm number 6.
I'm Meredith Gordon. I'm a senior, and I'm number 24.
I'm Ashley Pugh. I'm a senior, and I'm number 30.
Ashley, I'm going to start with you. What an amazing accomplishment. When you knew you had won the sectional, what was that moment like out on the court?
It was just unbelievable. Like, I obviously knew we could do it, but it was just like a feeling that obviously we've never felt before. So it was just like breathtaking, like tons of emotions, happy, impressed, just a lot, yeah. A lot to take in.
Yeah, we talked with your head coach, and this was one of the goals that she had told us that you wanted to achieve. What was it like for you, Meredith, when you did achieve that goal of becoming a sectional champion?
It was honestly so surreal. I mean, I'm so grateful that I'm a part of this team with these girls. I've only been here for 4 short years, but they've really made an impact on my life, and I'm very grateful that it was with them.
What was it like for you, Brynn?
Yeah, like Ashley said, a mixture of emotions. I mean, it's awesome to win a sectional championship with my sister on the court and my mom coaching, that never happens really. And just to do it like we haven't won in 10 years, that's just, awesome.
What was it like for you, Tyra?
It felt really good just to be able to prove that our first time beating Triton wasn't just a mistake or something that just accidentally happened, and to prove that we are capable of anything.
Yeah. Liv, it's pretty cool. You guys were able to beat your cross-county rival in the sectional championship game. That's kind of a double whammy right there. That's got to make you feel pretty confident. What was it like out there for you knowing you'd won?
Well, the last point, I was just relieved. Like, I was so relieved I just, dropped to the ground, and it was just amazing to have that feeling all together. And, being against Triton just made it so much better because it was a competitor. It wasn't something where you just sweep them and then it's done. It was something that took a lot of effort and, perseverance.
Yeah, you guys got out to an early start. You took care of business in the first 2 sets. Then you started facing some adversity in that 3rd set. Triton was able to take care of business. What changed, do you think? What kind of energized you after that 3rd set to really finish things off towards the end of the game?
Well, I'd say our biggest moment was when Andrea took us into the locker room, and she didn't yell at us. She didn't really grill on us, but she just said we're not coming back in this locker room as losers, and that really made us think for a second. So yeah.
Yeah. Would you agree, Tyra, that you guys you all just kind of banded together after that and knew you weren't going to let Triton win?
Yeah, I think that after we came out of the locker room, it was a lot at first, but then we realized that it was our game and we just had to finish it with what we started with, and I think that's what really helped us, was realizing that we had the potential to win.
Brynn, did you have the confidence the entire game? Did you kind of emulate the same thing as your head coach?
Yeah. So I basically started off the morning telling myself I'm not done. We're not done here. This isn't going to be my last game on the floor. And I just said that throughout the whole entire day. And even in that 4th set when we were down and we lost 2 sets, I knew we had the 5th set and we were winning. It did not matter. And once we came out of that locker room and everyone started standing up and clapping for us, it just showed that the community was there for us and we had it.
Do you think that there's some confidence on this team, Meredith, that when it's time to rise above, you have several players on this team that not only yourself but others can step up as well?
Yeah, I really think, we all give our faith in Ashley, and she's a great setter. She'll set whoever's on. She'll feed them.
What's it like being the setter, Ashley? You do have to set things up well for them to be able to attack, to make the right play. Do you take pride in that?
Yeah, I do. It's definitely very nerve-wracking because I know, I'm the person that's going to touch the ball every single point, every single play, every time it comes over the net. And I know if I make a mistake, then it's going to cause my hitters to make a mistake. And obviously I don't want to let them down. So when I make a mistake, I know I get really hard on myself because it's I just let my team down because we didn't get that point and it's my fault.
Well, everyone has their position. It seems like you hold yours down. Tell us your parents' names.
My parents' names are Jeff and Amy Pugh.
And talk about the support system they are for you.
Oh, they're amazing. They're my rocks. They always make sure that I have everything I need. My mom texts me before every game saying, you guys got this. Just believe in yourself. Obviously cheer your team on. Everyone's going to make mistakes. You guys got this. Just believe. And same with my dad. He'll text me, especially before big games like sectionals and teams that we know are going to put up a fight. He's just you got this. I'm proud of you.
carry your team, be the rock for your team. So they're a huge support system for me.
Tell us your parents' names, Meredith.
Mine are Tracy and Adam Gordon.
And talk about the support system they've been for you.
They're amazing. I mean, I'm so grateful I have these parents. My mom, she doesn't really understand volleyball, but she tries to, and it's sweet. I love that she tries for me. And my dad was a high school athlete, so he understands the pressure I had on Saturday. And so, I mean, they understand me and they understand where I'm coming from.
Tell us your parents' names, Brynn.
Brett and Andrea Berndt.
And talk about the support system they've been for you.
Yeah, so they always make sure that I have whatever I need, honestly, whether that's high school or club-wise. They've made sure that whatever opportunity I have, it's just there for me. And they both, advice is obviously easy for them to give. They're both coaches. They both know what they're doing, so I take in everything they say.
Tell us your parents' names, Tyra.
Sherry Ryle and Travis King.
And talk about the support system they've been for you.
My mom often shows up and is able to pay for most of the things that I need and help me out throughout anything that I need. And then just seeing my dad make his appearance at the games and texting me after the games means a lot to me.
Liv, tell us your parents' names.
My parents are Sean and Sherry Overmeyer.
And talk about the support system they've been for you.
They're really just like my whole world. Like my mom and dad are my best friends. Like they've been there for me not just on the court, but like outside of life too, or outside of the court. And like my mom, she's there for me every single game, no matter what, like win or loss. And like she's there to fill up my water bottle or to like shoulder to cry on, no matter what it is. And my dad, he's always pushing me to be my best. So.
Well, guys, you got the sectional championship out of the way, but now the focus is on this weekend. It's regional time, and I'm sure, as much as I'm sure you guys are happy for winning the sectional, I feel like you guys aren't satisfied yet, and it seems like you guys have some goals now that you've set not only throughout the season, but now this week. What do you think needs to happen this coming weekend in regionals for your team, Liv?
I think that we need to play our game exactly how we've been playing it. We have no reason to change anything. We are a great team. We connect well, and we just need to show up.
What needs to happen this weekend, Tyra?
I think that we just need to focus in and make sure we're taking care of ourselves over the next week and really show up on Saturday and prove that we can get regionals just like we got sectionals.
What needs to happen this weekend, Brynn?
I think we need to start from the beginning. We're a very offensive team, and if we can be on, that'll set the tone for the game. So just starting with our offense.
Keys to the game, Meredith. What needs to happen this coming weekend?
I agree with showing up and starting from the beginning and never lose a lead and never give up.
As the setter, what needs to happen this weekend, Ashley?
Going off of what Livy said, we need to play our game and we need to have confidence in what we do because we know we can get it. We just won sectional, so we know we can keep going. We just have to play our game and not get in our heads.
What's it mean to Ashley to be a Culver Lady Cavalier?
It means a lot. Obviously, we're the community, so we're welcoming, open to anyone, and no matter who's there supporting us, we're gonna say thank you, and it's just huge to me to be a Cavalier.
What's it mean to be a Culver Lady Cavalier to you, Meredith?
It's amazing. I mean, I love the support from our community. Everyone's amazing. I love it.
What's it mean to be a Culver Lady Cavalier to Brynn Berndt?
Like she said, it's very community-based. We all show up for each other. That's just always how this town is. We're very community. Everybody comes, our parents, our adult audience, just showing up for us.
What's it mean to be a Culver Lady Cavalier to Tyra?
I think we all grew up together. It's a very small town, so we were all able to stick together throughout elementary, middle, and high school. And now that we're in high school, we have so many different people coming out to support us from different grade levels. And I think it's really good that we were able to all stay close together.
What's it mean to you, Liv?
All of us have been together for so long that it kind of feels like being a Cavalier is being part of a family. And we just have each other's back. The community has our back. They show up for us, and that's really big. It's huge.
Yeah, you talk about the community. You're going to need them this week, and I'm sure they were, from what Coach Berndt told me earlier, they were there in full force this past weekend. It was a pretty crazy game from what I've been told. Emotions were high. What would be your message to Cavalier Nation in hopes they get out this weekend to see you girls?
I just want to give them a huge thank you for just being a part of our season. Like, they have been our support system through and through, and we honestly could not have done it without them.
Message to Cavalier Nation in hopes they get out to support you girls this weekend, Tyra.
Saturday, obviously, we play regionals, and it's going to be a huge game for us, and we'd love to see everyone there wearing black at 1 o'clock.
Message to Cavalier Nation, Brynn.
Yeah, so we're a team that's very based off the audience, and when they're loud, our energy is just up. So it would be great to have the stands just as full for sectionals that it was, and just to have everyone come out.
Message to Cavalier Nation, Meredith.
A big thank you to all of our supporters and everyone who's donated stuff to the community. Please be there. We'd love to see everyone there.
Message to Cavalier Nation, Ashley, on this weekend.
Obviously, just a huge thank you to everyone who's been there for us throughout sectionals, and regionals is going to be a huge game, good competition, so we need everyone there supporting us as much as possible.
Well, I sure do appreciate all of you for your time. Congratulations, and we salute you on becoming sectional champions. Good luck this coming weekend as we do congratulate the 2024 sectional champion, the Culver Lady Cavaliers volleyball squad. Thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Well, as you can tell, this team is on a mission. If you are in the area, get to Culver today to root on the Lady Cavs for an opportunity to become regional champions. Congratulations as we salute them on becoming sectional champions. We are going straight to the Where Are They Now segment with Harold Welter. You won't want to miss it. Don't go anywhere. This is the Saturday Sports Line.
The left hash mark. Barron's going to drop back. Here comes the blitz. Now he's running for his life. He escapes. Jack throws downfield, trying to find Evelyn. Can he get there? Oh, what a dive!
He caught that too. That's Drudge.
Justin Drudge! What a route! Barron's going to throw the Hail Mary down the near sideline for Drudge. Great recovery.
Oh, he's gone.
50, 40, 30, 10, 5. Touchdown, Rockies! Justin Drudge does it again!
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of local high school sports coverage on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now.
Today's Where Are They Now segment is dedicated to our friend and sports colleague, the boss, Tony Ross, who we lost last weekend. Tony broadcast his first high school ball game with me when he was still in high school and went on to be one of the best sportscasters in the state of Indiana. It wasn't many years before I was learning from him, as he was the most prepared, most in-depth, and most involved sportscaster that I've ever been around in my 59 years of sportscasting. Following is an interview with Tony that was done last year after he received the Excellence in Football Media Award. We call this segment, Where Are They Now? And because Tony was a great man of faith, we know where he is now.
Well, we've got him on the line, the man of the hour, KVB's own Tony the Boss Ross from Max 98.3 WYMR. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Mitch Rue, how you doing, baby?
Oh, man.
Nice to hear from you. Nice to see you got Mac up this early to help you out.
Oh man,
every Saturday, baby.
Well, Tony, first off, we got to say, with what's happened here this year at KVB, Harold getting into the Indiana Sports Writers and Sportscasters Hall of Fame. You were, of course, there for the award ceremony. And then the fact that you've been given this Excellence in Media Football Award, I think it just speaks volumes of what KVB is doing in this area. And it's just an honor to, as my first year as a broadcaster, to work alongside you and to also have Harold. It's just, what a pedigree here.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And now that you're in the mix, it won't be too long that you'll probably be getting the same honors with your work ethic. And that's where it all stems from. And, when I started my sports career, it was at KVI, doing board hopping for Harold and then Coach Bob Holcomb, and what two fine gentlemen there to learn from. And I got to be a little bit of a sidebar during one of Harold's games. And I think my first one, if I'm not mistaken, was with Oregon Davis. I don't remember who they played, but we were up in the nest. That's all I remember. And it was quite an experience. And I remember the time when I got asked to be part of KVI. I was doing the public address announcing for the Redskins basketball and volleyball, for that fact. And Ted Hayes tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Son, would you be interested in being in radio?" And I thought, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I knew I wanted to get into radio at the age of 7. And I'm a diehard Cub fan, and I couldn't wait to get home from school and listen to the final 3 innings of a Cubs game with Jack Brickhouse being such an inspiration for me as a Cub fan. I knew I was never going to be a Major League Baseball player, but I knew that I could really do something in the field of broadcasting. Jack sounded like he was having so much fun, and that was my inspiration to get things going. But what I didn't know then was you had to put a lot of hard work and research and time and relationships, making connections, and everything that goes along with it. So 37 years now in the business, hard to believe, but it was a great honor because just like you got done talking about with Al, it's about relationships. I think I've done over 300 football games now. It's a lot, and I really didn't think about it until Paul Condrey got me thinking about it. And I guess it just means I've gotten old, to be honest with you, Mitch.
Well, and that's kind of the question I was going to ask you. Did you figure you'd do it this long?
Yeah, because I know one thing that's going to happen to me. When I die, it'll be in a booth.
Gee, thanks. Leave us to clean up the mess.
Oh, gee.
I don't mean to be a burden, but you'll have to deal with it.
I hope Lenny Dessauer's not listening right now.
Yeah, he'll leave me there.
Oh.
But, the thing is I don't know what else to do. If I went and worked at Walmart, I'd probably have to shoot somebody. I just can't do anything else. I say that tongue in cheek, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think I could do anything else in this life other than what I'm doing now. A lot of people ask me, how come you didn't go further? Well, there are a couple reasons for that. One, I loved where I was. I loved working in the Plymouth area. I loved working in the Knox area. I did television and radio down in Lafayette when I finished out my college at Purdue. It was great, but boy, you really got to see some dark side of the media with the bigger you got. So I don't know. It just wasn't appealing. So when I came back home, high school was the route for me. And, I'm glad that I've received an awful lot of support in what I've done. I have to admit, I'm like Harold, and Harold and I have had this conversation. You don't know how many lives you touched until you get told. And and that's probably the most humbling part about it. I can't even count how many thank yous I've gotten in my emails and my social media. And I'm just glad that the fruits of my labor are appreciated, because that's what it's been meant to be, but even more so to promote our kids, because I'm blessed to go to practices. I'm blessed to go to coaches' meetings. They let me in. I'm like one of their family, and I can't even begin to say how thankful I am of that, because I'm able to translate that to the average listener who don't get the privilege like I get. So anytime I can promote our kids, the better the broadcasts are going to sound, the better the program's going to sound. And, listen, I don't want to be an armchair quarterback. I'll leave that for the professionals to second guess everything. We're promoting high school kids. High school kids make mistakes. We did when we were in high school. So who am I to judge? So my program, my broadcasts are upbeat, and that's the way they're always going to be.
Yeah, you sit back and you think about the Plymouth area, the Knox area, and being able to work in this. I'm here on Friday nights in the fall and basically on Saturday mornings. To be able to say that I have been able to work with two of the best is just it's an understatement. And I really appreciate being given the opportunity to do what I do. And you talk about thank yous, and like I said, I'm part-time and I get thank yous all the time. I can only imagine what you and Harold, the longevity is just that speaks volumes to me. And I appreciate, you and I have done some basketball games together. I've never been able to do a football game with you, and I'm sure it would be great. But again, I just want to say congratulations, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to fill in during basketball season when need be.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, and this is going to, I don't even know how this is going to sound, but I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't know you were going to provide your best. Listen, I do enough research and work for the both of us. I just need you to fill in, do your part and fill in the blank as a coach. And I know that's one thing you do extremely well, and that's coach, Mac.
Well, I tell you what, one of the first games you and I ever done together was actually at West Central. I'm going to tell this story, and you're going play-by-play, and all of a sudden you just paused for a second, and I didn't say anything, and all of a sudden I hear you say, we're going to take a 30-second break, and we go to commercial, and next thing you know, you're smacking me upside the back of the head, and we're during a commercial break, and you said, hey, when I pause, you talk. I'm paying you to be the color, add color. I'm like, okay. So I don't
think I was. Hey, wait a minute, time out. I don't think I was that direct about it. But here's the thing, you're part of the broadcast,
right?
It's a 50-50 thing. It's not a Tony and 20% color. I definitely need my analysts and my broadcast to explain things. And what's great, if you get a chance to listen, if we talk about a kid's free throw shooting at the line being 75%, and I'll throw in my researchal thing about in the last 6 games he's like 8 of 9. That allows you to come in and say he right now he's just on a nice groove. He's hit 8 of 9 shots in his last 6 games, and then I'll feed off that. To me it keeps a broadcast in a flow, and it makes people understand that wow, these guys do know what they're talking about, and they do care about what they're putting on the air. And honestly, guys, that's all I've wanted. That's all I ever want, and I want these kids represented the way they need to be presented. My poor wife, I mean, she's seen me stay up to 2:00 in the morning on a weeknight trying to finish up something, one of my games that we're doing. And if we got 2 or 3 games that we do in basketball and baseball, it's getting tougher, boys. I will tell you that.
Oh,
it's getting a lot tougher the older I'm getting. But I still cannot go in unprepared to a game. I will literally cancel a broadcast if I'm not prepared to represent the 2 schools that I'm going to broadcast for. I really will.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you kind of smacked me upside the back of the head, it kind of woke me up a little bit and actually took the nerves away. I was afraid I was going to say something dumb, but you were okay with that, and we went. And you and I think you and I make a pretty good team, and I've always appreciated, like I said, you giving me that opportunity.
Well, and again, it's a 50-50 thing, and I think Mitch will attest to this. He's now done games by himself and knows how hard it is. Color analysts literally can save a broadcast with the knowledge and what they bring to the table. Mitch and I's job is to provide our color guy the extra stuff that can help you along in the game. And Mitch is, I'm so proud of this kid because, he worked for us in the beginning. I'm sitting here thinking, all right, he wants to get into sports. Let's see how hard he's willing to work for it. And now here he is back home and doing what he needs to be doing over at KVI. And, he's only going to get better. That's the good thing with this kid. And
well, I'm sitting right here.
Proud of him. What's that?
I'm sitting right here.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just letting people know. Well, honestly, it's the truth. I know it's tough to fill the shoes of a Hall of Fame broadcaster, for Pete's sake. And the direction you've done and some of the guidance I've tried to provide, and you are well on your way. You're well on your way to fill the shoes of a Hall of Famer, and Harold even knows that. And that's the brilliancy of it. And when he gives you his blessing, then you know what? You're on track.
Well,
that's good.
I didn't call you to talk about me, Tony. I called to talk about you.
Well,
hey, I did.
Believe it or not, this is one of those kind of awards where the best that comes out of it is I hear from people who I haven't heard of that some even kind of surprise me that are actually enjoy listening to what I do. And I appreciate that. And for our listeners out there, please don't ever feel you can't come to any one of us and, let us know your thoughts, even good or bad. The only thing about the bad thoughts that you want to relay to us is make sure they're constructive. That's all I ask.
Right.
Well, I was going through my photos, Tony. My first game I ever did with you was on April 9th of 2014. It was a Plymouth baseball game, and I've got the picture here. And I'll never forget that. I just was tagging along to watch you. And I think it was halfway through the game, you just waved me to come talk. And you just had me slide the headset on, and it was just kind of like foot to the fire. I had to figure it out. So I've always
You do.
And I've always been very appreciative of that, Tony. It really means a lot. But real quick, I want to talk about this award. We heard about it from Al Breifogel in the interview just a few moments ago. We know what it's about. Now, what does it mean to you in receiving it?
Well, it means this. Now I'm on the same playing field as the Paul Condreys, the Ken Foxes, the Chuck Freebies, guys who have dedicated their life to the same field that I am, which means this. We do this because we have a love for high school sports, and it's about the kids. Chuck's job is different than mine. Ken's job is newspaper writing. I'm in radio in this particular case. But they're all mediums that have a common denominator, and that is to support high school sports. And Paul Condrey, when you sit down and you talk to that dude, I'm telling you, you can learn a lot because he's put himself in the front of the charge leading in promoting high school sports. So that right there alone is what makes winning that particular award one of the highest ones I can consider. I won IHSA gave me a media service award, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And that's a pretty high honor award according to the IHSA level. But, when you got peers that also are part of the decision making, that which the case was here this last weekend, that is that you're doing your job the way you hoped you would be able to do when you got other peers, other radio folks that are listening to you and giving you credit where credit is deserved. And like I said, that's where it means. It means I'm on the right track with the right people, important people who've got many honors themselves for what they're doing. So it's just nice. It just really is super nice. And I have to admit, I wasn't quite sure how important this award was until I looked at the hundreds and maybe even thousands of winners prior to me. And pretty special, guys. It was just pretty special. And I'm not quitting anytime soon, I'll tell you that, because it's a lot of fun, and we're going to just keep on rolling. And the good news is we'll have you guys along, and I'll be part of your journey too.
Well, 37 years is nothing to scoff at, Tony. I've said it before on the air. If you make it in broadcasting 15 years, you're doing something right. The fact that you've doubled that. The fact that you've doubled that is really impressive, Tony. If there was a message you could send to your younger self starting out in broadcasting, what would that message be?
Have a backup job.
Crap.
No. I say that. Here's the deal: you're either all in being a sports broadcaster or you're not, because sports broadcasting can either be a journeyman's field, or it could be one where you stay home and understand that financially you're never going to reach a. How do I sort of say this? Financially, you are always going to not necessarily struggle, but it's never going to be a 6 to 7, 8-figure job. And you got to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, if you never grew up having the passion of it, you can't just treat it like a sidebar and be successful and win awards because people will see it, people will hear it, they won't connect. And for me, I tried to make sure when I made my decision to stay home and keep doing this job, I wanted to make sure I was connecting. That's why I go to all the practices. That's why I am constant communication with coaches and ADs and picking their brain. You got to establish a relationship, and rightfully so, because you're talking about kids. You're talking about things that they may do that may not be seen right in the public, but people like myself believe, hey, they're kids. Right or wrong, they're kids. And I always ask the question: if that was your son, how would you want them to be treated? And so, like I said, I and the other part about it for me, which I think has been successful, is I'm a homer. I'm not one of those cookie cutter announcers. I'm not a Jim Nance. I don't play neutral. I am a homer, and I will not apologize for that 1 second, because I believe in the efforts that the local teams that I broadcast for. I'm at their practices. I kid around with them. I know their parents. They tell me about their girlfriends and stuff like that. I'm one of the family. And if you think for 1 second I'm going to be one of those kind of announcers that will say one good thing on one play and then they make a mistake and I'm going to lambaste them, well, you got another thing coming. Plus, my advertisers want me to advertise for their team. And that's the business part of it.
Yep.
So I am unapologetic for being a homer when I do my broadcast. I just want to make sure I represent the kids the best I can.
Well, and you're representing KVB, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting, so well, Tony. It's just been an honor to work with you and see what you've been able to accomplish over the years. It's really impressive, and it's something to look up to for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna guide you as long as you need me. That's for sure, because I see the potential in you, and maybe one of these days, if I can still talk, the older I get, by the time you get this award, maybe I can ask you a few questions yourself about why you've been so successful. So
might be 37 years. I don't know, man. I'll be pushing 70.
Well, then I'll just look up in the heavens and pretend.
I'll probably right there with Tony. It's probably But hey, congratulations, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate you both. Keep up the great work over there.
Oh, absolutely. Congratulations to Tony. Hey, Tony, real quick.
Yes.
How'd you get the nickname The Boss?
Okay.
I've always wanted to know this.
Well, it started when I moved over to Plymouth and I was working for WZOC, Z94. One of the best DJs I've ever had the privilege to work with, in Buddy King. The very first day,
Buddy, I remember Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy said, "Hey, we got to give you a nickname," and I'm like, "What?" Tony Ross doesn't exactly, roll off the tongue per se as far as remembering things, but he goes, "I'm just going to call you the Boss."
Wow.
And when I kid you not, my friends even didn't remember my first name, and that's when it all started, and it's been Boss ever since. And I love it. I've had some people kind of take a little bit of taken to that because of the attention I get as opposed to that, but that's their problem. But I just went with it. And before I go, I got to say one more thing. My weekend over at the Grady's was spent with two very special people, and one of them happens to be an advertiser on your sports, Mitch, and that's Jim and Viola Collins. I can't thank them enough for making it a special weekend and being there, because it meant that much more. I just want to throw that in there because they're two very special people who support Knox sports. And
I saw you guys enjoyed yourself at the Eagle's Nest. That's always a fun time.
Oh, man. How many times do you ate up there?
3, but I only get appetizers and drinks because that's all I can afford. That's the trick. To anyone who's listening, you can go to a fancy dinner, just get appetizers and drinks, and then head to McDonald's on the way home.
There you go, man. That's what I'm talking about.
That's a broadcaster's trick right there.
There you go.
Well, Tony, congratulations. It's been an honor to have you on the Saturday Sports Line, and always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
All right, buddy. Keep up the good work over there, both of you.
All right, we will. That is Tony the Boss Ross of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WYMR Max 98.3 FM. Yeah, that's right. We've got 2 stations here. What about it? We've got Tony the Boss Ross and our very own Harold Welter, leaving a legacy of 57 years of broadcasting sports excellence. This is Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
For the best team, Scott Masters, Marc Hayden, and Bill Griffiths, I'm Tony Ross. Thank you for tuning in to our first edition of our Game of the Week on Max 98.3. Once again, 27-6. Triton over in LaVille. Good night, everybody.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Where are they now? A look back at more than a half century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died as a result of an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. His legacy of hard work, outstanding citizenship, artistic success, and super athletic performance lives on with this award given every week to outstanding student athletes from the 8 schools in the Kankakee Valley. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Jake Conroy, a member of the football team at Knox Community High School. In the final regular season game of the year, Jake had 4 total touchdowns. He had 4 rushing attempts for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. His 4th touchdown was off an interception to the house. To me, Jake is a Swiss Army knife. It doesn't matter where he is on the field, you have to know where he is at all times. Jake is the son of Kathleen and John Conroy. As we congratulate Jake Conroy of Knox Community High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Jake will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating his achievement, and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. He will be eligible for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Year award later this spring, which carries with it a plaque and a college scholarship, compliments of WKVI and the family of Tyler Roth. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac. It has been a very, very tough week here at KVB. A lot of memories with Tony the Boss Ross over the years. It was an honor to be able to broadcast alongside him all those years ago, as well as just a couple of years ago at Culver Academy. Tony will always be someone near and dear to my heart. We do remind all of our listeners, Tony's visitation will be held tomorrow from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern at the Plymouth High School Varsity Gym. Funeral services will immediately follow at 6 p.m. Eastern at the school. We invite all of you to pay your respects to the late, great Tony the Boss Ross. Until next week, keep up to date on our sports checks. Follow us on all of our social media sites, on Instagram at WKVI Sports, on X, formerly Twitter at KVB Sports, and on Facebook at Sports to the Max for all Kankakee Valley Broadcasting sports content. I'm going to get on out of here. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, you've been listening to the Saturday Sports Line with Sports Director Mitch Columbi and Sports Analyst Chris McGowan.